like we're talking.
Yeah. All right, this is the sound check portion of the show, people.
This is the sound check.
This is where we need you to tell us if you can hear us,
This
because apparently that fucking mixer is a piece of shit.
this is the sound check.
Yes.
This is the sound check. This is the sound check.
Mm-hmm.
This is the sound check.
This
is the sound check.
He's just going to repeat it over and over.
This is the sound check until somebody responds. This
Yes.
is the sound check.
Yes, so you have to respond in the
Do it
chat.
in different voices.
And
This
otherwise,
is the sound check. this is the sound check. Check 1, 2.
all right, this K. Olsen person, again,
3, 4.
is telling us that you sound fine.
Well, that's good.
And there's Scott. Scott!
Loud and clear. Thank you, sir. Check 1. Check.
There's Troy.
Wayne's World 2. That was 2, right? Wayne's World 2. We're going to do the concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, get Aerosmith.
Yeah, the inferior of the Wayne's World movies.
Fact.
Yeah. All right, I guess I should, get some shit.
Yeah, them
ready.
boys whacking off in my tool shed. There's definitely a distinct difference between Mr. Anderson and Hank. I don't know that I get the nuance of the two when I'm doing the voice, but there's definitely when you're watching Beavis and Butthead and Mr. Anderson's talking, he's obviously very upset, and he's always, I'm a veteran of 2 foreign wars.
Yep. All right. Oh, we gonna set the timer for this one for 45 minutes.
Well, we got to do 30-second silence and all that bullshit, right? So,
Well, yeah. I'll hit it as soon as we start the 30
I was
seconds of
just gonna have
silence.
Siri do it.
Fine, whatever. I don't give a shit.
You
I'm
have
just
to mess up your fucking non-updated phone. Hey Siri.
oh. God damn it.
Hey Siri.
No.
Okay.
You said no. Hey Siri. Set.
I don't have an answer for that.
I'm so
Is there
glad.
something else I can help with?
Set a timer for 45 minutes.
Okay, 45 minutes and counting.
And counting.
All right, so audio's going. We got a good sound check. Let's do it. So you roll the video and
Oh yeah.
we'll start, and it's your toast.
Have to remember how to. To the Mandalorian.
To the Mandalorian.
To the Mandalorian, and putting Star Wars and Disney on its back yet again.
That's
and
fucking
just
right.
carrying it and making us want to watch it again.
Yes, absolutely. And with that, hello everyone, and welcome back to All Things Star Wars, the greatest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. I'm Mr. Jason Roscom. With me here once again, the Darth Vader to my Palpatine, Dave Martin. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
You can still say each and every week because it's not like we haven't been podcasting.
True, but this is the return of All Things Star Wars.
This is true.
So we are back, baby. At least for now. Not saying this is going to be a week back when pertinent things come up to do the Star Wars specific podcast.
Absolutely.
And obviously, we're talking about The Mandalorian today.
Yes.
Season 2 has debuted. Episode 1 is out. And it's worth talking about.
Absolutely, it
Because
is.
some shit went down.
There is so much to talk about with the Mandalorian.
Yeah. So we will get to that. But first, I want to remind everybody to check out our brothers over at the Escape Pod. Because they are doing their podcast, and on Wednesday, they are doing the future of Star Wars.
Yes.
So they're taking a look into the future of Star Wars. What's coming, what could be coming down the road. We're only looking at The Mandalorian today, but these guys are going to take a look deeper into the future. So on Wednesday nights, every Wednesday night. These guys stream live on their YouTube channel. They've got the audio version of the Escape Pod, so go watch, listen to them, especially this week when they're talking lots of Star Wars.
Do the same for them as you did for us, and we will all prosper. Prosper? Yeah.
And live long?
No.
Okay.
There's no living long.
Okay, gotcha.
Just prospering.
So we're going to kind of break from the normal flow of our podcast here because we're really going to keep this one short because we have a Gen X Point of View podcast we're going to do right after this.
Right.
But just want to get everybody caught up. If you're only listening to the Star Wars version of the Dave and Jason show, then let's get caught up on what we've been doing Star Wars-wise.
Yeah.
Since episode 159 when we reviewed Empire Strikes Back in July? Yes?
Sounds about right.
Okay. So
No, it had to have been after that because it was pre-COVID.
no, it was after COVID.
Did we do? I thought we were doing.
Yeah, episode like 156 was when we talked about how we got COVID. And then we did 2 more episodes after that, or 3 more episodes.
Right.
And then we transitioned.
I think it was August. Let's go with August.
Whatever. Does it really fucking matter?
No,
at this
not
point?
really.
So anyway, really the only other big thing besides Mandalorian that's happened in Star Wars since the last time we recorded was the Thrawn Ascendancy book coming out. I bought the audiobook as per normal. Never finished it. You know, I got bored in the first, 5 or 6 chapters, and I never went back to finish it. I really need to, but it didn't grab me, man. So that one's still kind of hanging out there for me.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I tried to convince you to finish it because it does. I mean, I ripped right through it. So
Yeah.
it was good enough. It was good enough to keep me engaged. Now, was it the best end all beat all? No, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I can't look as we're going to talk about here in a second. I haven't finished all Star Wars products that I have started either.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. Not everything is fucking is gold, but I think you should finish the Thrawn Ascendancy.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. You just got to get through that. And plus, let's face it, you're not commuting as much.
Right.
So, and I'm getting back into commuting again. So I'm listening to more audiobooks again while I'm trying to squeeze podcasts in and do all that.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot going on.
yeah, it's
And then we've got some election tomorrow too, but we'll get into that next episode or next podcast we do tonight.
yes.
Yes. So, I know you're going to talk about Squadrons. I still never bought Squadrons. I've had so much fucking other shit going on that I never bought it. I intend to at some point, if the old cliche, if I ever get time, right?
Right.
So, yeah, never bought Squadrons. Obviously, I'd get it for the PC if I got it because I got the dual fucking...
Yeah, you got the Hodas.
Yeah.
How you doing? Which
so,
I don't know how the console gamers are doing it, to be honest,
Right,
because
I
I haven't
wouldn't.
even. I have it. It's downloaded to my Xbox. I haven't even started it. I haven't turned my Xbox on for anything except Disney Plus in months.
damn.
Like legitimately months, because I haven't had time to really play video games, and when I have had time, I'd rather be playing this on the PC with the joystick and the throttle.
Yeah, and Big Sweet is telling me not to waste my money, so...
He also is the one who did it console.
Oh,
Like he went console only. So I think the experience in Squadrons is 100% different when you're playing with a throttle and a properly enabled joystick. I can see
I play with a properly enabled joystick every day.
I'm sure you do. Probably at least twice.
I wish. But we digress. So we'll get into your Squadrons experience, I'm sure. And the last thing I have. So I had planned, because this is the 2nd, November 2nd?
It is.
So Halloween was 2 days ago.
Right.
I had planned to be this 80s punk rocker or this 80s rocker.
Oh yeah,
with
you had
big hair.
you had the costume.
And then this fucking horrendous cold front blew through fucking New Jersey. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, am I really going to wear fishnet top and spandex pants? Or should I call an audible?
You could have went and then put your winter coat on, like we talked about in our Halloween episode of the Gen X Point of View.
Yeah, it just wasn't going to work.
Mic check. Mic check. Jason's mic's out.
Fucking hell.
His mic is out. Is it? Well, here's the question: is it? What's the thing that it does? The chirping or the clicking? Is it clicking?
How about now? Can you hear me now? Is this thing on?
Is it?
I don't know. That's
Ow.
what we're trying to find out. Fucking the goddamn audio issues every time. So,
Everything that's happening now is happening now.
all right. So anyway,
All right, he's
I'm
good.
gonna have to edit this out, I guess.
Yep, that's fine.
So yeah,
We'll fix it in
fucking
post.
super fucking cold front blows through New Jersey on Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, was not expected because we've been pretty fortunate the last few years on Halloween. It's been very warm.
Right.
And so I didn't really think much of the fucking fishnet shirt and the fucking spandex pants until we saw the forecast. I'm like, fuck. So I audibled and I wore my Kylo Ren costume again, the one that
Nice.
you saw me in a few years ago at your Halloween
Yeah.
party.
Anybody want to get pictures with you this time?
No, nobody wanted pictures, but I had a couple of kids react to me. A kid actually dressed as Spider-Man kind of runs up and gets in a fighting pose, and I got in a fighting pose, and his parents thought it was cute. And
Nice.
So, but yeah.
How did your son Ben do with Sleepy Joe Biden?
So a couple of people laughed. They thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And overall, just, some fairly indifferent reactions.
I'm telling you, it would have been just as good if he was like, "No, I'm Bodhi from Point Break." Just
Right.
because that mask is so it's a little too realistic
Yeah.
for my taste. That's the kind of shit that, like, if you find it in a house and it's dark and it's just casting the right shadow, you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So.
Oh, click.
No, he's
Oh.
joking.
Son of a bitch.
I know.
You're Kylo, so you were Kylo Ren again.
Yeah, I was Kylo Ren again, and I was able to wear layers under the costume, which was good.
Yes.
But I was still freezing. I wore like 2 fucking layers underneath the costume, and I was still fucking cold that night.
Dude, spoiler alert, it wasn't just cold in New Jersey. We were out in the Poconos, and it was fucking
yeah.
Saturday morning. I woke up, and it was like 22 degrees or some ridiculous shit like that.
God.
It was in the 20s.
Where's the fucking global warming, huh?
Yeah.
Come on, Al Gore, where is it? I thought we were all gonna be dead in 5 years. So fucking, where is it already?
Yeah, where's the warmth? Yeah, no, not so much. But then it got warmer and fucking rained. Rained like gangbusters yesterday. While I'm driving back from the Poconos, and then cleared up in time for the fucking Eagles game. Bitches.
Yeah. So anyway, Thrawn, not finishing Thrawn, not buying Squadrons, and dressing up as Kylo Ren, that's the only thing Star Wars that I've done since the last episode of the podcast we recorded. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, and I think this is the Mandalorian notwithstanding, because this is what we're here for.
Indeed.
It's the doldrums right now. We're leaking into that era of the big Star Wars event. Well, I you know what? I say that it's tough to compare it to what we went through in the 90s, like when the books, the movie stopped and we were just relying on the books and all that other shit.
Right, because we got spoiled by Disney starting in, 2014 with annual movies.
Yeah,
right?
annual movies, and then we get Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And now we have these seasons of Mandalorian to look forward to. So there still is relevant Star Wars content. It's just not coming to us in a form of a theatrical release, which, quite frankly, in this COVID era, probably for the best.
Yeah.
It's probably for the best. I'd rather sit in front of my 65-inch television and fucking watch Mandalorian in all its glory than have to risk going out into the real world, out there with what's going on. And plus, you know what? I really don't like people anyway. So it's just, regardless of what's going on, it's a really convenient excuse for me to not leave the house unless I absolutely have to.
Perfect.
I mean, let's face it.
Well, let's put a pin in that because we got limited time for this episode.
This is fact.
What have you been doing Star Wars-wise since episode 159?
I finished Thrawn.
Okay.
Did not finish the new Alphabet Squadron book.
Right.
And I think that's mainly because of the audiobook. Like, it's a woman reading all of the men's parts, and it's not even how she's reading the parts. It's the, like, hey, we're in a fucking X-wing. We're gonna make the comm voice change.
Right.
Like, so it sounds like they're talking over the radio.
Sounds like, can you see
Yeah.
the thing over
And
there?
it's fucking Alphabet Squadron. It's all about them being out in space, fucking fighting space battles. So it's all that fucking voice, and it just drives me insane. So I'm like, nope, I don't need to finish you. And I was a little bit worried because when Squadrons, we were just mentioning, I was worried that there was going to be some relevance there that I'm going to lose from playing the game. I didn't play the story in Squadrons. I did it for a couple minutes until I could exit out of it so I could start playing online.
Right.
And just going and flying. And the reality, that's why I'm playing Squadrons. It's I have a few minutes, and it takes a while between the dogfighting and the whatever the bigger map is. It takes, you're on screen for probably 25 minutes. The dogfighting is probably about 15 minutes, but unless somebody hits the things early. But flying around, it's a good half hour that you can go and be in gameplay, and then you have about 8 minutes in between games when it's loading up. So you have enough time to go take a leak or whatever. But I'm getting to fly a fucking TIE fighter. That's my jam.
Yeah.
That is my jam. And I don't give a shit anything else about this game. I don't care about the story. Don't care about this other stuff. I just want to sit in the fucking cockpit of TIE fighter, flying around, shoot stuff, practice my maneuvering and that type of shit. So I really enjoyed the Squadrons product. Am I as enamored with it as I was with TIE Fighter, the original one, circa 1994? No, because there was different layers of stimulation in that.
Sure.
Because you were playing more like, oh, here's this pilot, and then you're able to advance that pilot through the ranks. The time frame of this story being post-apocalyptic, empire. Like, so you have these fragments of the empire that are still fighting. You're not ranking up anymore. You're just surviving.
Right.
So it's just not part of the gameplay. But when I do go on, I try and go live on Twitch just because what the fuck, why not? My computer has the capacity to do it. So fuck it. Go live on Twitch. So if you're looking to harass me about my flying or anything else, I'm on Twitch at PhillyDave75.
I need to set that up so I get a notification if you do.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I really should post more like video stuff up there, but I'm not. It's not that impressive, and I don't want to spend any time editing video.
Nah, fuck that.
So I'd rather just live stream. If somebody sees me do something cool, then cool. But yeah. One caveat to the Squadrons: if you're buying on a like you're going to do it through Steam. Yep. Right, and I'm fairly certain that even if you do it through Steam, you can still have like friend groups through EA. Because the EA structure, it's like through Origins.
Oh, yeah, because they've got their own service there.
And the whole cross flow between the console game, I don't think exists. But if you want to be in a squadron together, I think you'd have to do it through EA.
Okay.
In order to do that. So just something to keep in mind.
Fair enough.
And the other thing is, for those who haven't seen, we have had an increase in pops, a relative increase.
The sacred pops!
The sacred pops, indeed. They are a thing of beauty.
We're over 100 in here, right?
Oh, yeah. There's like 100.
I say we. They're all Dave's.
There are 103 of them in here. And actually, there's probably more than that. There's 103 in the box.
What's in the box?
We do have some separated Cara Dune and my TIE pilot over there.
Yeah, my girl, who did not make an appearance, by the way, in this week's episode.
Well, she did, kind of. She was there in the
recap?
Yeah, the recap for the beginning.
That doesn't count.
I mean, it's screen time. I'll take it.
I mean, there's only so many times I can masturbate to the old footage, okay? I need new footage.
There's no way you've reached that limit yet.
You don't know. Anyway, what were we talking about? The sacred pops.
Yeah. So I do have another one on the way. I can say that safely because I am sure that my wife is still working. It's I have one. It's newer than Mando and holding the child like with the jetpack on.
Nice.
And the reason I bring that up, there is a Jango Fett up there, number 285. Got him kind of right in the middle of Harrison, Dula, and Sabine, right? Mm-hmm. So in an effort to be clairvoyant as possible and be a completionist and get all the Mandalorians that I can in the pops, I got Jango Fett back in the day.
Yep.
That son of a bitch is worth like $85 now.
Damn.
Because part and parcel of what we're going to talk about here with the Mandalorian season 2, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Jango Fett himself has that's the only Jango Fett pop too.
Yeah.
So that one in particular now is
that's the only one that exists.
Right. Well, no, not it exists in perpetuity. I'd have a fucking
No,
this would be Fort fucking Knox if that was the
No,
case.
I mean like, but that's the only one. There's like him in no other poses, no other scenarios.
No.
So it's just that one.
yeah. So he is competing with Grievous right now as being the more expensive of the collection, but yeah. So the Mandalorian flying in a similar pose with the jetpack, holding the child. It's gonna be fucking great. I can't wait to get it.
So speaking of which, are we ready to segue back into our main topic?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So let's talk some Mando season 2. It feels like it's been for fucking ever since we've seen an episode of the show, but it's really only been a year, right? Or less than a year?
Less than a year. You figure because it was October last year, right? When
Right,
came
and
out?
it wasn't over until after Rise of Skywalker.
True.
So, because we had the cross episodes with the Force healing, like Baby Yoda did the Force healing on fucking Grief,
Right.
Like the night before fucking Rise of Skywalker came out, when Rey did the same thing.
Yep.
So, yeah. So it's been less than a year, but it feels like an eternity, and it's fucking great to have the Mandalorian back. So I don't know how you want to do this. I just wrote a bunch of notes that really are kind of chronological in the episode.
Perfect.
All right. And we do want to say, spoiler alert.
Yes.
So
All of the spoils.
because we like to warn people when we're going to do spoilers. I mean, we're not going to post a picture of the last frame of the episode on Instagram the night that the show debuts or anything, because that would be kind of a dick move, especially when people don't watch it the opening night. But I digress. So
Yeah, I'm so glad I wasn't on social media over the weekend.
yeah, did you watch it Thursday? Well, you didn't stay
No.
up to midnight. Yeah, I didn't either. I'm like, there's no way I'm staying up till midnight.
I
So.
I stayed up to midnight. I couldn't make it till 3. That was the problem. Because it was 3 a.m. when it came on. Yeah, it wasn't at midnight. I tried to stay up. I did, because I knew I was going away for the weekend. I'm like, I better stay up and watch it now. I couldn't hang.
Yeah, no, I had zero plans to stay up late that night. I knew I was going to watch it Friday night with my family.
Well, plus staying up late for you is like 9 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. Anything after 9 is late for me. But then, of course, I made the mistake of opening up Instagram the next morning. So,
Epic fail.
indeed. But, spoiler alert from here, if you
Yes.
still haven't watched the episode for whatever reason.
We're gonna break it down.
Indeed. So, like you said, it started off with a recap. It kind of recapped the whole Baby Yoda story, and really they're focusing on now how Mando has to get Baby Yoda. You can call him the fucking child all you want. He's Baby Yoda.
Right.
Always will be until he gets a real name.
Look at that. What's the the trailer? What's the trailer? They do on YouTube. They do like the trailers for the. It's not
Honest trailer?
honest trailer.
I actually haven't seen that for
Oh,
season
really? Yeah,
one.
it's actually pretty poignant.
Yeah, I keep meaning to.
It's accurate.
Yeah, I keep meaning to fire that up, but
Yeah, Big Sweet actually had posted it on the in the sidebar.
Yeah.
Sidebar Cantina, which is still alive and well.
indeed. That's where we still hang out. If we're on Facebook, that's where we are. So we start off with Mando and Baby Yoda going like on a planet. I don't think we ever found out what planet they were on to start with, but it looked kind of like Corellia to me. With the kind of like industrial shit kind of in the background with the skyline and everything.
Right.
But it was a real like seedy looking area, a lot of graffiti all over the walls, which
Their graffiti was fucking fascinating, though.
yeah.
I stopped it a couple times to look because it had like stormtrooper heads, like kind of, on. There were like the heads on Pike's scene that you kind of got out of the first Mando episode.
Yep.
But now it's like in graffiti, so they're like expanded and had more color around it and shit like that.
Did you also notice it looked like there was a lot of anti-droid?
Yeah, it looked like a 3PO
imagery,
head.
Yeah,
like
like
at one point.
a 3PO head, and then like a lighter version of that, like a silvery one of that, and it looked like they kind of had like the X over them. So it seemed like whatever culture this was or whatever planet this was, they didn't like Imperials and they didn't like droids. So that's kind of the message I got.
Should be Mandalorian's thing.
Yeah. Now I had Lunar Girl try to tell me that she could have swore she saw a Yoda somewhere in there, but I went back and rewatched it. I didn't see anything. I saw what she might have been referring to, which was like the 3PO looking head that had two things that looked like they were tall ears.
Yeah,
that
and
could
they
have
were
been.
greenish in color too. I think I
Yeah.
remember what you're talking about, but I didn't see
Yeah.
that
So
either. 'Cause I scrutinized because I thought it was interesting. It was interesting art to have
Yeah.
to give you an idea. Like, okay, this is not a place where the Empire was obviously favored,
right.
and now he's walking into this whatever it is. What's with fucking the one? Here's one thing I'm not happy with the Mandalorian as a show.
Okay.
Ugly Twi'leks.
Oh, I know. Right?
Every Twi'lek that's been on this fucking show is fucking hideous.
Yeah.
Like that,
men and women. They're all.
The men have always been whatever, but they represent Twi'leks in such an unflattering way. It upsets me.
Yeah.
It quite frankly upsets me.
It's probably this new generation, you know.
Is that what it is? They can't have
objectifying women and blah 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 blah.
They're not women. They're Twi'leks.
Okay. I got nothing.
I'm gonna let that one go. Fuck it.
But yeah, no, they should be extremely attractive.
Yes, that's their whole thing.
Yeah.
It's their thing. It's what they do.
Yeah. But
anyway, maybe I'm still hungover from the fact that in the Bill Burr episode, that one was just like, ugh.
Oh God, yeah.
Jesus Christ! Like, put it away, God. Don't make a pop of that one.
Oh God. So he goes into this little place where he's meeting somebody, and there's like a Gamorrean guard fucking deathmatch going on inside. Now, this was my biggest beef with the episode. The costumes that those Gamorreans were in, they looked super fake. And, I mean, I guess you could say that they looked that way in Return of the Jedi, too. But I was more convinced by the Jedi costumes than the ones in this episode.
You know what? I think we're not used to seeing the Gamorrean guards actually move quite so much.
That could be, because these guys were leaner, more fit, whereas the Gamorrean guards at Jabba's palace were, quite frankly, kind of chubby.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, we're not fat shaming here, but they were fucking tubby.
Yeah. So, you know, just different.
And
body
they skipped
types,
leg
maybe.
day too, because I at one point I had paused because I was looking at something in the crowd, and I look and it's a fucking skinny ass Gamorrean guard leg. I'm like, okay. They obviously they're working out up here.
Sidebar.
Not so much down here.
Sidebar. Speaking of skipping leg day, did you watch the video that fucking I think it was Solsky posted in our little private chat? The wrestler who skipped leg day.
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
That was awful. And the best was like, I'm not going to comment about it. Let Jason go ahead and walk free form right into this.
Yeah, which I did. I watched it not realizing what was going to happen, and holy shit.
The man has the jelly legs.
Indeed he does. He does now. And of course everybody else listening is like, what the fuck are they talking about? I mean, I'd post the video in the cantina, but y'all might lose your lunch. So
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
We should post it anyway. Fuck it. Solsky, post that in the cantina. That way we
just put a warning.
That way it's not our fault.
Just put a spoiler warning on it. Don't act like you're posting it on the night of the Mandalorian debut. No, post a real spoiler warning saying, hey, you might not want to look at this.
Hey, but look at it.
Yeah. What the fuck were we talking about?
Gamorrean guards fighting.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think they looked that great, but it was kind of neat the way... I couldn't tell if... Because correct me if I'm wrong, but in previous Star Wars canon, there have been instances where there have been like duels or, you know, fights between people where they've been controlled. Right. Where even though they have like weapons, there's some sort of a weird protective force.
It's a shield. They have like a personal shield that keeps them from like hurting each other. It's because you see it'll flash like they'll be
right. So that's what I saw.
The big blades and they're hitting each other.
Yeah.
And you get this like flash of blue. That's why they weren't slicing each other into pieces, even though they were hitting, you know, full force. Right. Yeah, I noticed the same thing. It's like, okay, and it becomes poignant or you know relevant later because when the guy, this fucking Cyclops dude, was obviously in control of what was going on with the fight, like with the betting, everything else.
Well, the whole thing was a setup.
Excuse me. Right.
Yeah, because you know Mando was looking for he's looking for more Mandalorians. For some reason, they're gonna point him to Baby Yoda species, which
great meme was out there with the weapons broad, the armor, right? The armor, and it's like the Mando. It's like, go take the child. You know that one where it goes like with Joey from Friends. This is like go.
Oh yeah.
Take the child to, you know, find his parents, find other Mandalorians. It was like. I don't understand why he needs to go find other Mandalorians now.
Right. Like you could get it's information you can get anywhere. First of all, there was a pretty prominent member of that species who was alive not that long ago, who was a pretty big figure in the whole fucking galaxy.
Yeah,
people might have known something about him.
It's crazy to think about. And it's the same thing with the ancient Mandalorians talk about fighting with Jedi. It wasn't that fucking long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
but we don't know. We still don't know what happened to Mandalore between, you know, Rebels and fucking Mandalorian.
We don't know
so-
what happened to man. We know where the fucking Darksaber ended up.
Right, but we don't know how that happened either. So essentially, we're led to believe that Mandalore got fucked by the Empire, like big time.
Which sounds about right.
Yeah. But we digress. So yeah, this whole thing was a setup. He was looking for information about a Mandalorian. And the fucking Cyclops guy set him up, and he did it just for his armor, right? It was all because
He wanted all the Beskar.
yeah, which was apparently pretty rare, valuable.
Well, that's what he was saying, dude. It gives us here as our timeline has gone forth, the Beskar has basically become the currency.
Yeah,
Right. The value of the Beskar is like gold, platinum. What we think of
Pretty
like,
much,
oh,
yeah.
and you're wearing a bunch of it. I'm gonna go ahead and fucking take this from you.
yeah,
And Homeboy's like, yeah, no, you're not.
yeah. And then we had a great shot of Baby Yoda, like he knew some shit was about to go down. He's like, bloop, bloop. He hits the thing, the fucking dome closes.
Yeah, that and you know what? They showed it in the trailer. It still worked. Still
yeah.
paid off. I was totally on board.
Yeah, and the great thing about him in this, by the way, with the Baby Yoda, was that he was always just kind of in the background. Like, he was never front and center in the story.
Right.
Even though the whole storyline is basically about him now. But he wasn't distracting. He wasn't, like, too much. He was just enough exposure.
Just enough. You look like, oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he's doing some cuteness.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he's in the vase now.
Yeah.
Oh, look at how cute that is.
Which, to me, first of all, once he gets to Tatooine, the whole rest of this episode felt like a Western, which I know we've talked about that even before the first season came out. We were getting that vibe that they were going with a Western theme. I think they nailed it in this one, and it seemed like they were really going for it in this one, probably more than any other
Oh,
episode.
especially if we fast forward and he gets to Tatooine, and he goes into let's find a settlement, which I didn't really need to see that brought again. Like
the fucking mechanic. Oh,
Yeah.
I hated her. I hated her in the first season,
Yeah.
and I hated her now.
hated this time. But you do get the cameo that we were talking about out of that from R5. Rewinding from fucking episode 4.
Right. So yeah. So Easter egg time,
Right.
where I had one person, I think it was Lunar Girl again, was trying to convince me that it was R4, Obi-Wan's droid, that followed him to Tatooine. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure R4 got his head chopped off in Revenge of the Sith.
This is the Lars, the one that the fucking
That Luke and Owen almost bought from the Jawas. That had the bad motivator.
Yes, the bad motivator one.
Yeah, which I happened to catch something right before we went live that said that that was the case, that was that R5 unit.
Yeah, that was like my initial like where it kind of poked me. I was like, oh, I know what that is. And the fucking you get Anakin's fucking play droids or whatever, fucking with the Razor Crest.
The Three Stooges.
Yeah, that's again. I didn't need all that. However, we get the speeder bike. Cool.
Yep.
You could have just stole a horse or a speeder bike or whatever, but fine. And he fucking goes hauling, finds from the hologram that, hey, here's this place that's kind of
Mos
off.
Pelgo or Pelgro. Or...
Yeah, here's Mos Eisley. Here's all the places Here's this other place out in the middle of nowhere. Go ahead, have at it.
Yeah.
And then you get a scene of Baby Yoda with ears flying back like this, and like you would think that his face should be opening up like as fast as they must be going. Right?
Oh yeah,
like, blah, 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 like the dog in the fucking window.
Well, he's got the Force.
Well, he does, but he didn't use it at all this episode.
No, which again, I think that's good. You don't want to overexpose it, right?
Okay.
You want to save it. There'll be like moments, like little moments where he'll probably do it once or twice throughout
Like
the
the
season.
whole crate dragon thing when everyone was going to get fucking die, and then
Oh yeah, he could have just been
poisonous
like
spit and flying around everywhere. We couldn't. Hey, can we do the hand thing?
Yeah.
Just do the hand thing.
Right. So, yeah, kind of going back again, Mando got word from the Cyclops guy, like, hey, there's a Mandalorian on Tatooine. Of course, Mando's like, I was just fucking there. There was no Mando there. He's like, I swear my info's good. So he goes there, meets the mechanic, goes to this Mos Pelgo place, and... yeah, it's like a Western. He kind of rolls in. He's like the stranger rolling into town on his horse. Everybody's just stopping, looking at him. You can probably see a tumbleweed blowing in the background.
Yeah, right. People coming into the doorways and looking at him. It's like they would be staying. Yeah, perfect setup for the Western.
And then of course he goes into the saloon and
Weequay. So the bartender was named Weequay.
Yes, I noticed that.
Is this a case of just a species being like we're not going to bother naming you, we're just going to name you what the species is?
Well, it sounds to me like it's racism.
Is that what it is?
It's it's like, hey, Weequay, give me 2 shots.
Ah, there it is. Yeah, it's all phrasing.
It's like, hey, Jew, bring me a couple of sandwiches. Like, hey,
when the hell would that ever happen?
It probably happened at some point in history.
Wow. Wow.
I'm
the
just
views
saying.
of Jason are not the views of the All Things Star
I'm
Wars
just trying
podcast.
to like draw a parallel to the real world. Well, I've never said that.
You haven't?
No.
Wow. Anyway.
See, I'm just trying to make a point, and then you're trying to make me look bad, and
I was trying
don't
to make
appreciate
a point,
it.
and you were just trying to make it horrible.
You're the one who brought this up.
Anyway,
Whatever. Fuck
we
you.
don't have that much time, Jason.
I know. So this was such a great moment when we see fucking Cobb Vanth come in, because if you followed us all the way back to the beginning of fucking All Things Star Wars, when we read the Aftermath books, Cobb Vanth was I wouldn't say a main character in that. He was in the side story, but they kept going back to him a couple of times throughout that trilogy.
Right.
And it was the same story that we get recapped in this fucking episode, which, say what you want about Disney Star Wars, right? A lot of people don't like the direction, whatever. They don't like the fact that they shit can the expanded universe. They created this new canon, and they fucking stick to it.
Yeah.
And they've been really good about that. And this is the best example to date of how well they have stuck to this new canon that they've created, because this was, again, one of the Aftermath books that came out in like fucking 2015, something like that.
That they've seemingly, like, there was a lot of those books that we feel like they didn't explore, and they didn't explore enough.
Yeah.
Like, and that was one of the storylines. So like that's just they just threw that out there. It was like in the alternate chapters of this book.
Yeah, and it's almost just seemed random, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, we'll just throw this random story out about some guy getting a hold of Boba Fett's armor, but they stuck with it, and when the time came where that became relevant in Star Wars canon, they brought him back, and they kept it fucking perfect. So
yeah, Big Sweetie was saying details how he got the armor from the Jawas did change a bit from that storyline.
Yeah, well,
and it was a little bit.
It was a certain point of view,
Yes.
So he just told us from a different point of view. Now, see, I wonder though, which came first? Was it the chicken or the egg, right? So was it always the plan to eventually bring Boba Fett back via this way, or were they creating Mandalorian and fucking Jon Favreau was like, yeah, and for fucking season 2, I want it to be surrounded, around like bringing Boba Fett back and all this, and then you get Leland Chi in the back, like, so in this book that we wrote a few years ago, we already talked about how his armor got to this other guy, and then Jon Favreau was like, fuck, all right, I guess we gotta...
All right, I guess we're doing that then.
Yeah, so I kind of wonder how all that came to be. I would love to...
I'm willing to bet it probably happened a lot like you just said.
Yeah.
Like Leland Chi's sitting in the background listening to everyone talk, going like, yeah, guys, no, can't do that. Can't do that. You're paying me money to make sure that you don't fuck this up. I'm telling you right now, you're about to fuck it up.
Right. So, but either way, they stuck to that fucking canon, and they kept Cobb Vanth in here as a character who has the fucking Mandalorian armor, and they did it in a way where, with that flashback scene, right, which again, very Western like, when they show the Miners Guild roll in, and then Cobb like has to stumble away, he's like dying in the desert when the Jawas pick him up, gets the armor, goes back, fucking shoots up the fucking saloon, takes back the thing. That's all you had to do. So for those of us that read the fucking book, and when we saw him, as soon as we saw him, we fucking knew right then and there.
Yeah.
But for the people who didn't, they immediately were able to get caught back up. No harm, no foul. Nobody should be confused or anything else.
And even if you didn't read the book, I hasten to say that when you looked at the person standing in the door frame, you were able to tell this is somebody wearing Boba Fett's armor.
Right.
It was not Boba Fett. Like,
yeah.
It was like the helmet didn't look quite right. It just looked like somebody wearing the armor.
Yeah, and his body was very slender too. So obviously Cobb Vanth, played by Timothy Oliphant, which what I thought was a pretty good addition. Like, I like him as an actor. He's
What else has he been in?
so he was the main killer in Scream 2.
Okay.
He was in some fucking cowboy TV show. I don't fucking know. Somebody help me in the chat. I never watched the thing. He was a character in the movie Go. If you've ever seen that, he's done a lot of shit, but I haven't really seen a lot of what he's done outside of like Scream 2 and Go.
Yeah, he in this the portrayal of him in here, as far as we're talking about the Western, this is like a it's kind of the white hatted marshal almost.
Yeah, and that's what he's called. He's called the marshal. He's the
Right.
town marshal, which is great.
While that stuff was going on, the story was going on.
Deadwood is the name of the show he was in.
Oh yeah, that was a pretty popular show.
Yes.
What I looked at was just the armor itself.
Yeah.
Like I'm like making. I think for me, I was making sure that the armor I'm looking at is like, is there any doubt to this armor? Right. I'm looking at the helmet. It's got the fucking dent in the top.
Yep.
I'm looking at the all the insignia on it, the coloring, but they did a great job of just like weathering a lot of that out.
Yeah.
Like, hey, the person that's wearing this now isn't maintaining it like a Mandalorian would.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is just somebody that is wearing this armor. But it did kind of take me. It took me a little bit to believe that he was able to get the armor to function fully like that, where he could fly the jetpack, where he could fucking use the missile on the back of it.
Which that scene, by the way, where he shoots up the thing and then the guy's like beat feet out of there in the fucking
It
in
just
the
leans
speeder.
over, it's like,
and he brings the antenna down, fucking targets. Woo! That was an awesome scene.
yeah,
very cool.
I'd love to see the cutscenes where he's like figuring out how to use the armor and fucking like almost blows himself up because he's like, "What is this thing doing? Oh my god!"
Yeah, kind of like a couple of the montage scenes we got in the first season of The Mandalorian, either
Right.
where IG-11 was like learning to walk again,
Mm-hmm.
or where Mando was learning to ride the fucking whatever the beast was that he rode in episode 1.
The blurg.
Yeah.
Blurg. Which, by the way, Kathy actually started to watch it season 1
Yeah?
while I was watching the Eagles game last night.
Oh, she had never seen it?
Now she's. I think because it's Star Wars and because of all of this that's happening right now, like I think that she's a little bit, she's hesitant to actually like get into something in Star Wars just because she's worried it's going to be like not something she enjoys. But I told her like it's like a Western. It's set up like a Western.
Yeah. It's good. Kristen loves it. She loves The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I
so.
think, and I got positive feedback from her last night, but she went to bed before the Eagles game was over. But anyway,
I had a feeling you were going to stay up for that, but
I had to.
I'm sure
fucking-
we'll talk
I'm-
about that in the Gen X show.
I'm such a schmuck.
So, had a great standoff where Cobb comes in. He says, "Yeah, I got this fucking armor from some Jawas," and him and Mando were about to have a shootout. Like they're both standing there. They're like ready to fucking draw, right? And then the fucking sand dragon, or what is it? The
Crate dragon.
Yeah, rolls through town. Awesome effects on this thing.
Yeah.
Like when it's like traveling under the surface of the sand, and then like when it fucking comes up.
And it immediately made me think of Dune, right? Like it was a worm from Dune.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get really, Jason, really.
I don't have any point of reference for that, so I'll just agree with you.
Anyway, it wasn't what I thought a crate dragon was going to look like initially, like after he ate the banta, but then later on when they're in the Sarlacc, the abandoned Sarlacc pit or whatever, which looks strangely like a cave to me, but whatever.
I kind of assumed that was one end, and then like
Maybe
the other end would be like going upwards.
Maybe.
the top of
Yeah, it's a giant pussy in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
Anyway.
with claws and fangs.
Yeah, and like Little Shop of Horrors, fucking.
Yeah. No,
no, not without that.
not that.
But yeah, the crate dragon. It looked more like a dragon when they had later on in the scenes when they're trying to kill it.
Yeah.
That's
Which, yeah, I mean, and that was the whole rest of the episode. Cobb tells Mando like, "Hey, help me kill this fucking dragon, and I'll give you the armor," because that's the big thing. Mando sees some guy in Mandalorian armor
Right.
who's not a Mandalorian, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Fuck that."
I'm going to take this from you.
Yeah.
Like, and he was like, hang on. How about we just work this out?
Right. And honestly, so obviously, long story short, they fucking kill the dragon between like using the sand people, using the people in the town to all work together. Big whole scene, a very enjoyable sequence where
Right.
they're trying to fucking kill this thing and draw it out and blow it up from underneath and just all kinds of shit.
Excuse
But
me.
I honestly thought once all was said and done, Mando was going to be like, nah, keep the armor. You're good. Like, I really didn't expect him to fucking just take the armor and just like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah, or not put up such a fight, or be the dude who's like, yep, nope, deal's a deal. Here's the armor. And like I wasn't surprised that the Mando took the armor. I was more surprised that it wasn't like a more like, well, no, fuck you. I'm reneging on this deal. And
Oh, like Cobb, like saying,
Yeah,
no, I'm
Cobb
not going to
saying-
give it to you afterward.
because I mean, let's face it, he knew he didn't stand a chance against a legit Mandalorian.
Right. Well, and he even said that too when they were first in the saloon together and he took off the helmet and Mando realized he wasn't a Mandalorian. He's like, only one of us is going to walk out of here, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know? So he knew like some shit was going to go down and he was probably going to lose.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. But, they killed the fucking, penis worm or penis dragon or crate dragon, whatever
Crate
you wanna call it.
dragon.
And
Because that's a callback, right? The Crate Dragon is a callback to Episode 4 when 3PO and R2 are out in the desert. You see the skeleton, and
yeah.
that's a Crate Dragon.
yeah.
So it was a good callback for Star
Oh,
Wars.
yeah,
fans,
the
for
whole
sure.
episode were good callbacks.
Yeah.
Or, well, they were callbacks. Not all of them were good. Three
Well,
Stooges and
Well, yeah, and fucking Mechanic Broad.
yeah. But so how we doing on time? Do you have a running countdown?
I don't know. Siri hasn't yelled at us yet, so it's going. Hey Siri, how much time is left? 48 seconds.
Oh, okay. So, last scene of the episode. This would have been the last thing you saw if you didn't open up Instagram at 5 a.m. that morning. But if you would just watch the show without seeing any spoilers, last scene as Mando's riding away with Boba Fett's armor
Into the sunset.
into the sunset is the actor fucking Tamura Morrison who played Jango Fett and all the clones.
Yep.
Bald head with pretty raggedy looking with
A lot of scarring on his
Yeah.
face, like he's obviously been through some shit.
Yeah, kind of watching Mando right off in the distance, but it's clear as day
Yep.
that it's that actor.
Dude,
So
and Jason, I feel really bad, and I understand why you would be upset. Timer's done. That scene where Mando's going off into the sunset, I had zero like that. The fact that it pans back and sees him, I
Yeah.
was not expecting it at all. Like
Yeah.
it completely just. I went like, what?
yeah,
Right. And maybe some of me should have expected something. Hey, we're talking about Boba Fett's armor. Maybe there's something out there, something.
Yeah, it was really not that unexpected.
right. But in the moment, I was like, "Holy shit! This is and I'm like, next. Where's the fucking next one? Like,
I know, right?
Now we gotta fucking wait.
Well, and that was the thing. Well, yeah. So yeah, a couple of things from that. First of all, we don't necessarily know for sure that that was Boba Fett because obviously there's fucking 10 million fucking humanoids out there with that same fucking face. So it could conceivably be a clone.
I would argue against that only because the only one that wasn't aging, like, because all the other clones like aged faster.
Okay, and
Right.
I get it. It's more than likely Boba Fett. I understand. But we don't have 100% confirmation at this point. And the second thing, yeah, there was no fucking preview for next week, which didn't we get previews for the next week every episode last season? I swear to God we did.
I don't know if we did or not.
Yeah.
And I don't want it. I'd rather like have this anticipation and just wait till it happens. Like it's nice to have anticipation for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, for this that's the one thing you have to hand it to the Mandalorian. They step back into our lives, right? They had a long way to fall.
Yeah.
Right? We set the season 2 up to be like, fuck, this is going to be so good.
Because-
And then we get these rumors. We get the rumors about how what is it? Pedro Pascal is unhappy and everything else, which bullshit.
Yeah.
Bull fucking shit.
He has been promoting the shit out of this
he's
season.
on fucking the StarWars.com Instagram page, fucking answering questions, playing with toys and shit like that. People. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I forgot where I was going with that because fucking comicbook.com and all their stupid nonsense.
Yeah.
But no, so they had this anticipation like, oh, what about Ahsoka? Is Ahsoka in this? And you start talking about Rosario Dawson and all this other shit. And then now that we're in it, it's like, okay, they're not going off the deep end.
Right.
They're not fucking like, okay, we're just gonna put this big sweet ass fucking piece of candy in front of you, and you're just gonna eat it all up, and there'll be nothing left after this. Mm-hmm. Like it's setting us up again for what
it's all a big fucking tease.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we haven't gotten any payoffs from previous teases. Didn't see a single second of Darksaber guy.
Nope.
Didn't get my girl Cara Dune
Right.
at all. Didn't get Grief Carson. Didn't really make any progress in the Baby Yoda storyline.
It was season 2, episode 1 is a continuation of season 1.
Yeah, and it's just a slow trickle. And
Yeah.
now we have that little Boba Fett nugget out there as well.
Yep.
So, but I mean, it was good. I was entertained. The episode was
Yes.
like 56 minutes long. So
Was it that long?
Yeah, it was longer than the average. That's what she said.
Not to you. This is the appropriate. Jason's wearing one
Yes,
of his matchup
so
tees.
I'll
We can't get too far away from this without talking about this. It's got a picture of Boba Fett with the Sarlacc fucking tentacle wrapped around his neck with the two sons of Tatooine saying "Fett's not dead."
Yes,
underneath
it's a
it.
mashup of Boba Fett and the Evil Dead
Evil Dead.
poster.
Yep.
And I've had this shirt for 5-6 years at least. So, yeah,
Perfect.
Very, very relevant now.
The mashup stuff. It's amazing how sometimes you get that right.
I know, right?
It's really funny.
So, which is why I had to wear it today. Like, this was a no-brainer.
Dude, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are validating my thought process in the chat about Boba not aging as fast as the other clones.
Oh, and again, I understand. I'm
but,
just saying.
but what you're saying, I will yield to the fact that what you're saying does have some credence because there are clones, and I think somebody said in the chat too to back you up. Yes, there are clones. Anything can happen.
Indeed,
dude. What if Rex is out there too at some point?
He was still alive in Jedi, and this
Right?
is what did we say, 5-8 years after Jedi?
Yeah, there's so much that could still be out there. And honestly, even if you told me like, okay, here's going to be the plot points for the next fucking 6 episodes, I'd still want to see how they do it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because they're doing it so well right now.
And that's the thing, they're sticking true to the franchise.
Favreau is jerking us off.
Yeah.
And it's like
And we're loving it.
Yeah. I will continue to let you do this to me.
Yeah.
Because it's been good. How bad would it have been though if we had been let down? If they had gone out there and done some fucking insane shit, would have been like, nope, fuck Star Wars, ripping their fucking shit apart.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have touched the pops because the pops are awesome. But
right. Well, and I think they probably realize it, right? I think the heads at Lucasfilm and at Disney realize that they could very easily fuck this up.
Yeah.
Because, say what you will about Rise of Skywalker, the fan base is still divided. There's still a lot of things that a lot of fans are kind of like on the fence on. Yeah. So they're walking a very tight rope right now, and they need to be safe right now.
Yeah.
We need more Force Awakens type stuff. We need more Mandalorian season 1 type stuff. Just play it safe. Give us the fan service. Don't stray too far from the formula.
Right.
And just
and I'm sure at some point, just like anything else, everyone can fuck up a wet dream at some point. But for now, we'll just enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And I think the guys from the Escape Pod will probably talk about it a lot more when they give their views on the future of Star Wars. But I think that divide that you're talking about that started with, let's face it, it really started with Last Jedi. There was people that didn't like Force Awakens,
right?
Whatever, and that's fine. Yeah. The Last Jedi came out, and that was the absolute polar divide in what people were going to basically accept from the Star Wars franchise, and come right back to the other side, and we have Mandalorian.
Yep.
So that the Mandalorian is a good good washing of the palette.
Yeah.
For Star Wars, and hey, maybe it might turn this new book series that they're doing into somewhat of a success.
Potentially. And we'll leave that discussion for the Escape Pod guys.
Yes.
So ultimately, I think season 2 got started off on a great foot. I hope it continues.
Yep.
As far as the next time we do an All Things Star Wars, I doubt we're going to be doing every single week for Mandalorian. I mean, unless every fucking episode blows our goddamn minds to the point where we're like, we got to talk about it on the show, so.
I'm hoping that it's that provocative.
Yeah.
That we can come on and do 40 minutes.
And
and talk about Mandalorian.
And I'm not opposed to doing it, but if next week it's like, okay, that was a decent episode, but we can wait a couple weeks before we talk about it on ATSW again.
Agreed.
Then we'll do it that way. So the only thing that's for sure, people, is nothing's for sure. So with that, well, I mean, this is where we're going to end.
I know, but
all things Star Wars anyway.
We have some traditions that we have to maintain.
Indeed, we do. So that's it. Just want to remind everybody. Check out the Escape Pod this Wednesday. They're talking about the future of Star Wars.
Yes. You can find them on everything. Yep. ATSW, the Escape Pod. You can, if you want to go direct, you can go to podbelly.com.
Yes, you
can. And
can.
you can find them on podbelly.com in their podcast directory.
Yep.
Let them know that Dave and Jason sent you from the All Things Star Wars podcast and also from a Gen X Point of View podcast.
Yes, which we will be recording right after this.
Right, meow.
Yeah. And if you're only subscribed to our All Things Star Wars audio feed, for the love of God, also subscribe to From a Gen X Point of View, please.
Yeah, I don't care which one is your primary. If you like the Star Wars thing and makes your nipples hard, and it's cool, but just go over. There's so many podcasts in your podcast directory right now that you are downloading because you're subscribed and you're not listening to them.
Yeah,
you're listening to us.
Make us one of those.
Yes, subscribe on the other side of it so we can get that fucking download.
Yeah.
And let's do this. We did for 3 years and we had a modicum of success that we are trying to get with the other podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I think we forget what 10 episodes was like back in the day.
Oh yeah,
probably back in 2017. I mean, you were already a successful podcaster.
Successful.
Sure. You had shows before, so you kind of had an idea what the formula was. I think I've forgotten what the beginning of the podcast is like.
Right, yeah, and I'm sure if we go back and we re-listen now, some of it was probably pretty cringeworthy because it takes a while to find your flow.
It does.
So, especially when you're starting something new. So.
May the Schwartz be with you.
But we're getting into our flow from a Gen X point of view, so
Yes.
go and subscribe, please, because we're talking about Mallrats in our next episode.
Yes, switching gears.
Switching gears. But that's another podcast. So, thank you everybody for watching. Glad to be back talking some more Star Wars. And until next time, Dave and everybody else, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you. Okay, now what do I click?
And don't go anywhere, anybody. We're doing Gen X Point of View in this same video / feed. I'm just separating the audio, which I'm going to now export. Can't believe I'm still having the fucking microphone issues. We got to get rid of this mixer. This fucking thing it's the bane of my goddamn existence. ATSW episode. God, I can't believe we have done 160 episodes. Raw. 160 raw. Oh, I got to check and see if you guys actually posted that stuff in the Facebook group. Yeah, Uh-oh, Wally Frogmore posted in. Oh, yeah, so were you watching last week when I was showing Dave all those deep fakes? Huh. Anyway.
This is deepfake Saquon Barkley.
So, Wally Frogmore just posted in the group the deepfake I was telling you about where they put Harrison Ford into Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he posted that
nice.
That video, so you should check that out. It's
excuse
pretty
me.
crazy. All right, let me go piss, and then we'll start. All right, this is
Jimmy G and Kittle are both out. I heard that Kittle went out.
Dude, this whole fucking season is fucked.
Yeah?
Ugh. I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, I'm going to force you to. Oh, hi. I just realized we're still on. I have to finish the show notes for Mallrats. And back me up, people. Now that he's not in here, I wanted to talk more. Spend some time talking about Sean Connery, and I'm hoping we get to. It's probably going to end up being during my week because it's not brought up. But you need to back me up on all that.
What are we talking about?
Nothing. I'm finishing.
Sorry.
That sounded like something.
That was E and E minor.
Ah, the minors. Yes,
Very impressive. I know.
You're fingering the minors.
Dave said that. Okay, and I think there we go.
Jesus Christ, Jason.
I made a mistake.
Yeah, Jason closed all the tabs.
Yeah.
Like,
Whoops.
don't. Oh, look, Stonebleeds. Jason talking about Sean Connery. What the fuck is going on? Are we back? Are we?
Yeah.
Is it still silent?
Sound check.
Hello?
Can
Hello?
you hear me?
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, shit went weird because Jason deleted us. He
didn't-
deleted me. See what happens when Jason deleted me?
Wish I could delete you.
Hang on, I gotta finish my fucking notes for the week.
Are you still working on the notes for Gen X?
Well, I didn't put anything in for my week.
Sean Connery. Okay, what's all right? I guess I should put a note about Sean Connery in the fucking thing. Oh, there it is. All right,
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Which, by the way, folks, those of you that were watching the beginning of All Things Star Wars, these first 2 beers I drank is the first alcohol I've had in 34, 35 days, something like that. So,
How'd they taste?
pretty damn good. Once it hits your lips.
You earned it.
But we'll talk about that in.
What did I do
next
this
show.
week? What the fuck?
You went to Lake Wikichapa, whatever it's called, and apparently you did not visit Luna Girl when you were like 3 minutes from her house.
I'll talk about them.
And Bronco Fett brings up a good point. Like, whenever I think of Sean Connery, I think of SNL. And I think of Celebrity Jeopardy. That's the only thing I think of when you're like asking me about like, oh, what Sean Connery movies do you know? I'm like,
You know Sean Connery movies, though. I mean,
Jeopardy, Celebrity Jeopardy on SNL.
the day is mine, Trebek.
Yeah.
I'll take big titties for 300.
Titles, Mr. Connery, famous titles.
Suck it, Trebek. I used to be able to do like Sean Connery's inflection, even for a Scotsman, is very like it's so low on the band. I just like it's tough for me to get down there. That's what she said.
All right, let me get a new audio recording started. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Brian! What are all these people doing out there? They think I'm the Messiah, Mom. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Oh man, that's still. Oh man. All right, that's enough. Whatever.
Yeah, so much to manage here. Got so much shit going on.
So I keep all my notes in one on this screen because I know I have to look at it anyway.
Yeah. And thank you everyone for letting me know that my audio kept going out.
Yes.
So and continue to do that.
Yes, thank you. And I will keep I really try and keep the chat just in the corner of my eye so I see when it starts moving.
Yeah.
That way I can see if catch that shit early.
Indeed.
If anybody wants to throw money at us for the purchase of a new fucking mixer, we're accepting.
Letits now.
The day is mine, Trebek. It's more. I used to be able to do it. Damn it.
Yeah. All right. I'm good. I don't know if you're ready to roll or what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. It's only 6 o'clock. It feels like 10.
I know it does. I'm so fucking tired, dude. It's.
Oh, I should have put that in our fucking week. Talk about the daylight savings and whatnot. But whatever.
Unfortunately, that might spur a discussion of how fucking useless it is to have daylight savings, which we probably talked about last year.
I think we talk about that pretty much every year.
Like, why the fuck are you doing this to me?
Yeah. So.
Poor dog's beside herself.
Oh yeah.
She feeds on the sixes.
Yeah.
Right. So when 6 o'clock turned into 7 o'clock in her body, she's like, "What the fuck, peeps?"
Yeah. No, I've got a buddy who's got a 3-month-old.
Oh shit.
And yeah. Talk about like fucking up a schedule and everything.
The biological clock does not fucking roll back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the baby is going to be up when it's supposed to be up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. All right, we good?
Yes.
All right.
Yellow snow in Trebek's mom's handwriting.
The penis mightier. No, it's the pen is mightier.
The penis mightier. Yeah. Let's do another.
We'll just do our normal
Another 30?
countdown. Yeah.
We click here and then click there because that's not the right one. Ready?
Yeah. From a Gen X point of view is brought to you today by
Podbelly.com. And one would think that of all the times I've talked about Podbelly and been shooting from the hip for so long, when they actually give me something to like, hey, look at these things and mention these podcasts so you can help other podcasts out.
Sure.
Podcasts like the Sofa Kings and other podcasts that are on the Podbelly network. Mindframe, yes. There you go. There's one. And our friends at podbelly.com actually had emailed a list that I struggled to find last week. Once again, this week, realized that fucking list exists during our 30 seconds of silence. So, of course, like, you can't click through shit. My mind can't make it appear on the fucking screen. But anyway, go to podbelly.com. Support our podcast from a Gen X point of view. Support the guys at Sofa King, which they don't need your support. They already got a lot of fucking listeners.
Yeah. They need to be pointing their listeners to us.
Yeah, frequent our better podcast than theirs, I dare say.
Well, I don't want to get into a dick swinging contest, but I think we offer a different point of view. Potentially a more entertaining point of view.
From a certain point of view?
From a Gen X point of view.
Ha! Go to podbelly.com and you will do it.
And you will do it. So, I'm actually drinking beer. this week. So this is the first time in, I don't know, 5 episodes where I've actually been consuming alcohol during the show. In fact, I am drinking the new Samuel Adams Winter Lager, which is very fitting because it's fucking freezing outside right now.
Yeah, it's not even that it's cold, because right now it's, 43 degrees outside.
Well, it feels like it's 10.
Yeah, because the wind's howling at fucking 45 miles an hour right now. And it's not as cold right now as it was this weekend.
Oh, God.
I mean, it was fucking cold this weekend.
Yeah.
Like, abruptly cold. Like, what the fuck just happened cold? The kind of cold that, like, suddenly your car is losing fucking antifreeze.
Oh, well, and air in your tires, too. Because if you drive by the gas station, especially on base, where they had the functional air pump.
Yep.
Fucking a line of cars going down the fucking block for people trying to put air into their fucking tires.
Yeah, because we have all these fancy cars that tell us when we have a low tire, and no, it just got cold. It's tire pressures, that's how they work.
You mean, wait, when air gets cold, it compresses, and when it gets hot, it expands?
It does.
That's like physics or something,
That's
right?
like science.
Science.
Yeah, it's science.
What is-
Although, you can cheat science by putting nitrogen in your tires.
Oh,
You didn't know that?
no.
No, that's what you do. That's in commercial aviation, they don't put air in their tires. They put nitrogen.
Oh, right.
Because you have all the shrinkage from being
I was in the pool!
33,000 feet in the air.
in the pool!
Yes, go and hook yourself up with nitrogen in your tires. It costs a little bit of money, but you will not have shrinkage when it gets fucking these titty blasting colds cold spell that we're in right now.
Yeah.
It's fitting though. It's at the end of October. It's 2020. There was a blue moon. Why not make it 28 fucking degrees?
Oh, sure. Yeah, fucking why not?
Yeah,
Let's
why not?
just add to the fun of this year. But what kind of fun are we having today? What are we talking about in episode 14 of this podcast?
Episode 14. Wow. I think we're talking about Mallrats.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about a Kevin Smith staple that was largely overlooked when it first came out.
Yes. And I'm going to have a lot to say about it. Like, we'll get into it.
It was the 30th anniversary, right?
25th.
The 25th.
Yeah,
25.
Yeah, about a week and a half ago, we just passed the 25th anniversary of Mallrats. But you know what else happened 25 years ago? I graduated from fucking high school.
Ah.
So this came out in 95. I graduated in 95. So
Okay.
it's like,
It does. It puts age on you, especially when you're watching this thing and you're looking at it going like, "Wow." But we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I have a note for that,
right. But we have a lot of things before we get into our main topic, as we do.
as per usual.
So why don't we talk about Sean Connery?
Yeah. Rest in peace, Sean Connery. 90. He dies at 90.
Yeah.
Right. So you place this as Eddie Van Halen. He recently passed. We did an episode for that.
Yeah.
He
was
obviously
60, died of cancer.
Yeah,
you know.
so it's a little bit more sudden. Sean Connery looked old, some of his last appearance, and apparently he died peacefully.
Yeah.
His body of work, for me, is one of the best. Like he'll go down as one of the like top 5 all time actors. Excuse me, for me, which is tough to do because he's very typecast.
Yeah.
He's got a heavy Scottish brogue, except for in like Highlander when instead of making him the fucking Scottish guy like you would a Highlander, they made him a fucking Spanish guy.
Right.
So and then you put him in another movie like Empire of the Sun where he's speaking Japanese. Like it's
we won't talk about that one.
But for me, his body of work is everything he's in. I'm sure he had some clunkers, but this is the first James Bond.
Yeah.
Now, you have been on record
Yep.
as saying you have not seen a Bond movie.
Not a single Bond movie, Sean Connery or otherwise.
And it's just, that fact alone is just...
But I played a lot of GoldenEye on the N64.
Right,
Does
which
that
is,
count?
it's not the right fucking Bond. But, okay, whatever. No, it doesn't count because the Bond movie genre is probably developed a lot of what we see in action film that works.
Right.
And you're talking about what they started doing with this heroic guy, right? You have this heroic archetype that is going and enabling violence, a level of violence that seems acceptable, and fucking philandering with strange women named Pussy Galore and shit like that. You're getting this Bond character, which I dare say that the Bond movies and what he started, I think it was in 7 Bond movies, and what the character that he developed. We're looking at Bond movies now. We're talking about the next James Bond. After Daniel Craig, we're talking about the next Bond, and I don't think that you have that level of success without Sean Connery as your fucking foundation in that. And there's a lot of movies that we watch now, a lot of action movies where you have this primary character who's a fucking badass. That I don't think you get that without Sean Connery's representation.
So, Lunar Girl, her dog is named Indiana. Probably
No, that's not the reference. That is a reference to Indiana Jones.
Right. And he's Indiana Jones's dad.
Right. We named a dog Indiana. That's a line from that movie.
Oh, okay.
That's my favorite fucking Indiana Jones movie, by the way.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned that before, actually.
And that is a line from that movie. Thank you, Lunar Girl, because Last Crusade is probably one of my favorites. Hunt for October was a staple.
Yep. So here, one of the movies that I remember him the most from, and it was because at the time, I'm pretty sure it was a surprise to everybody, was Robin Hood. You remember the Kevin Costner Robin Hood?
Yes.
Where the very last scene was like the fucking king finally coming back, and it was fucking Sean Connery, and everybody's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Because back then there was no fucking internet. You couldn't just post a spoiler on Instagram the night the fucking movie came out. Like there was no way to like know this kind of thing. So I remember...
Well, you could do that. You could stand outside of the movie theater and tell people.
Right,
say
but we
real
didn't
loud.
see it in theater. We saw it when it came out on VHS. We just like bought it. And... yeah, even then, after it hit home video, the surprise still hadn't leaked out to us. So I remember watching it with my family. We're watching everything, and then at the very fucking end, boom, there's Sean Connery. I was like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's had some amazing one-liners and just a great body of work. Think of The Untouchables. His character portrayal in The Untouchables. Leave it to a wop to bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah.
Some of the lines... For a guy that's basically, this is the guy. This is this Scottish guy, right? This is what he's going to look like. He's going to have the beard. He's going to be graying, even prematurely. Fucking let's put him in a movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones and go. And we know they're fucking. So go ahead. We're going to make that a thing, and it works. And it fucking worked. He's just somebody mentioned it. I think I don't know if Vickers is still in the chat, but. He was saying today something about how Sean Connery said it was okay to beat women at some point. There was some controversy about that.
Well, so this all goes back to, well, first of all, I'm pretty sure that was like not 100% serious. But did you see the Bill Burr SNL monologue that everybody lost their fucking minds over?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God. Go back and just this was like 2 weeks ago now.
Okay.
2.5 weeks ago. Bill Burr was on SNL. He hosted it and he did a monologue where he basically just fucking lambasted this whole cancel culture, like the overly sensitive PC fucking culture.
Right.
And he talked about like how now they're trying to cancel like fucking people who have already been dead, like John Wayne. Right? They're like, did you see what he said in the interview in the magazine in 1970? Can you believe he said that? And he's like, yeah. He was born in 1908.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is, documented back when, pre-COVID, when I stopped watching hockey was because of how the Flyers organization reacted to Kate Smith, who was fucking, you're talking about a pre-Depression era fucking actress performing in something that at the time was not seen as being racist or anything else. Like, right. Oh no, you can't play her rendition of God Bless America anymore, and we have to pull the statue out.
Right.
Like, why? Because of bullshit like that. I absolutely have to watch that.
Oh yeah, you got to watch that thing.
I am so anti fucking television, especially right now with this fucking election bullshit. And it's probably a good segue into talking about rest in peace, Sean Connery. But watching football yesterday and having to fucking sit through a solid 5 minutes of nonstop election commercials. You want to blow your brains out. Like, what? I just want to fucking enjoy a football game. And maybe I have to if I watch television, which I don't.
Mm-hmm.
If I watch, I'd have a TiVo setup where it'll mute. Remember, they have a box that used to mute the commercials.
Oh yeah,
because they play the commercials louder. It's a marketing thing. It's a known thing that they do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I don't watch TV anymore. I haven't watched TV in fucking a decade. I just don't care anymore. There's nothing that keeps my interest, and I really just don't want to sit through commercials and everything. But I've been going to the gym a lot over the last couple of months, and in the gym they have fucking TVs everywhere. So even though I'm not listening to them, I've got my headphones in, I'm listening to my music, I can still see in between sets and everything. And every time I look up, it's either a fucking Biden or a Trump ad.
Yep. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
The level of inundation with this, I can't wait till it's over.
Yeah, and
I just can't.
We're recording this on Monday, November 2nd, so the election is tomorrow.
Yep.
And yeah, like you said, I can't wait for it to be over.
If this is our post-apocalyptic friggin', after the election of November 3rd, 2020,
and see,
only 2 survived.
And that's the thing. Like, everybody blows these fucking things up so much. Here's the deal. I have 2 things to say to everybody out there. First, the first thing I have to say is, if you really care about something that's going to affect your life, your immediate life, vote in your local elections.
Yes.
Those are the ones that matter.
Yep.
The national shit, the presidential elections, even the fucking, the Congress stuff, not really going to have an immediate effect on you. It's your state governor, it's your local politicians, either your township or your city or your state representatives. Those are the elections that are going to make the biggest difference in your individual lives. And second, at the end of the day, no matter who wins this fucking presidential election tomorrow, not much is going to happen in your life, okay? Like, Satan isn't going to come fucking up from hell and consume the entire earth if fucking Trump wins. If Biden wins, he's not going to raise fucking the tax rate to 99% and we're all going to be poor and we're all going to die on the streets. At the end of the day, none of your lives are really going to be that different. Because I said this to all of the fucking crazies who lost it 4 years ago when Trump got elected. I'm like, 4 years from now, your life is not going to be that much different. And I guarantee I was fucking right.
Well, except global pandemic notwithstanding.
Okay, COVID is a whole other thing. I'm
not even saying COVID anymore.
Let's just take COVID out of the equation.
Right. Other than that.
Yes, but even that is more handled by your local elected officials. That's why some states are getting fucking shit-faced right now.
Yeah.
And some states well, up until recently, us like New Jersey, we're actually doing pretty well.
Yeah, up until recently. I mean, and I 100% agree. You want to affect change that, like you so pointedly said, you want to affect change that affects you on a day-to-day basis, affects the taxes, the amount of tax you pay if you had a child in the school system, your board of elections. If you're unhappy with how the schools have set up for COVID, that's the Board of Education. Those are the people that are representing your student, as an elected body. Vote for those people. Know who you're voting for.
Yeah.
Now do a little bit of research. Just as you have this ability that, quite frankly, we got Veterans Day coming up next week. There's a lot of us fuckers that went out and sacrificed a lot to make sure that we could continue to have this type of discourse, whether we like it or not. I mean, I'll complain about the ads, but fuck, that is what it is. I can always shut it off. Yeah. I still have a choice. Some people don't. So, yeah, go and fucking who do you know? Who's on council? Who fucking running for Board of Education? Do you know what these people stand for? Is it just a fucking popularity contest? Which, by the way, it's a fucking popularity contest. All of it is.
Yeah.
It's a fucking popularity contest. What egomaniacal fucking dickbag can stand up there and fucking be the best?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. If you really want to do something, and this is one of the reasons I don't get involved in politics, even though people have asked me, it's the fact that I'm going to be expected, to represent a certain point of view. I'm like, no. If you want me to come in and fix something, you need to let me go in there and fix it. You want a fucking cheerleader for one side or the other? Go find somebody else. You're not going to waste my time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put get myself involved in something that isn't going to affect change. And that's what you want. That's what you want in your officials. And sometimes you have an opportunity to find out who they are. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be. Oh God, I'll be so glad when all this shit's over.
As long as the country isn't burning to the ground. But
Well, like you said, I don't even want to go. I don't even want to go there.
all right, so
I gotta drive to the base tomorrow.
Oh, I know. Why don't we talk about our weeks? So,
Yes.
as you can see, I'm drinking alcohol, as I mentioned at the top of the show, but I completed Sober October.
Yes.
The entire calendar month. Yes, cheers to that.
Yes. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
You earned that beer.
The entire month of October. Not only did I not consume any alcohol, I consumed 0 fast food, 0 sugary snacks, no candy, no cookies, no cake, nothing, no salty snacks,
No Skittles.
no Skittles,
Skittles.
and I went to the gym for 27 of the 31 days in October.
That's remarkable.
I added it up. So I did pretty well. I feel great. Feels really good to drink a beer right now.
Yes.
But I feel good, and I'm thinking about making this a regular thing. Like I might start doing this like maybe not quarterly, but a few times a year.
Yeah.
Just have a cleanse like that, where you don't do anything, because I think the body needs that.
Yeah, and I think you're fortunate that you've already. It's not like you weren't working out at all, and then suddenly,
Sure.
like, oh, I'm gonna work out now. I'm gonna fucking blow out my knee or something like that because
Or bending backwards.
Yeah, I'm overdoing it. Benefit of being in the military, right? They pay you to fucking be in shape,
Yeah.
be relatively fit. We all know people that are not that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fucking awesome, dude. I'll bust your balls, but the stick to itiveness that it takes to, I mean, I can stop drinking. Like, all right, cool, because I don't really do that anyway.
Yeah.
Like enjoying a beer or something like that. I would think after all this, like that just you don't have to fucking. Oh, I'm gonna drink every day. No, you have your beer.
Which I've done that before, so
Yeah.
that's...
Well, we're gonna try not to do that.
I know, no, and that's what I'm saying. But yeah, no, thank you. And also, congrats to Lunar Girl, who actually took this journey with me. So Lunar Girl, who is a mainstay in the cantina and in the chat on our live streams, also did the Sober October. So, she used kind of me as some motivation to get through it herself, and she's lost a significant amount of weight in the month of October.
Neat.
I'll let her... reveal those numbers to the masses. But,
awesome.
She kicked ass too this month. So, and it feels good to, be able to influence other people or inspire other people to do the same. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I like it. Moving on. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do for November yet. I'm thinking some kind of like a point system where like yesterday and today, like I ate a candy bar yesterday. That was my congratulation to myself on November 1st. Was I ate a caramello, which is my favorite candy.
Was that your dad tax out of the trick or treat candy, or you just
no? So the people that we went trick or treating with, my buddy who I told you has the 3-month-old. Yeah, they bought me a caramello because they know that's like my weakness to try to see if they could break me on Halloween night, and I'm like, nope, gonna eat it tomorrow. So, but yeah, I ate it yesterday, and then I was going to get Taco Bell for lunch today, but apparently the Taco Bell that's right outside of base, they don't do dine-in at all. It's only
drive-through. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, fuck that, because it was like on my way home and whatever. Speaking of which, I have a new schedule now at work.
Okay.
Because of COVID, because of all of the rising COVID cases nationwide and here in New Jersey, they've now mandated that we go to this like split shift schedule. So I have to be at work at 6 in the fucking morning. I have to be there at my desk, ready to work at 6 a.m. So what the new schedule is it's 6 to 1 o'clock, and then you telework for the last 2 hours of the day. So, I left work at 1, was going to hit Taco Bell on my way home. They didn't have dine-in, so yeah, whatever. But, so I haven't had that cheat meal yet. I've only had like a candy bar and now beer.
I just wanted to highlight the fact that Luna Girl did in fact post her numbers for
Yeah.
For 17 pounds in October, 28 in September. Yes.
Fucking
excellent.
well done.
Yes.
That is fucking awesome.
And then the opposite of that is apparently in Boise, the uncle tax is 80% of the candy. So,
man, that's pretty steep.
That's a steep tax.
Those are far left numbers right there. So, all right.
But I'm sure they're delicious.
Yep. Moving on. We kind of already alluded to it, but the fucking weather lately has been so goddamn cold, and I don't know, where's our global warming, right? Because every year up to now, it's been a gradual decline. Like, it really hasn't been getting cold until like after Christmas here in Jersey for the last couple of years. Like, where it's been kind of chilly, you know, but then after Christmas, like late December, January is when like the fucking stupid cold hits.
Right.
For some reason, it's here at the end of October, beginning of November. So.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that climate change isn't a thing, but it's
right.
not.
And I say that facetiously,
right.
of course.
Well, no, I think what the problem is that their view of climate change is not accurate.
Right. Well, it goes back to that whole Simpsons episode where, you know, they get that massive snowstorm and Homer tells Lisa, "Oh, look, Lisa, looks like I have to go out and shovel 6 feet of global warming today." And, you know, she's like, global warming causes extremes at both ends. And
right.
He's like, "Oh, so making it hotter makes it colder." That makes a lot of sense.
And, you know, when you start talking about, you know, temperatures in the ocean and the circulation and how the jet stream is and, you know, pulling Arctic. I mean, you can draw circles and arrows and fucking maps,
Sure.
and that's not what this podcast is about. But I think generally speaking, people have an expectation like, oh, it's global warming, right? Yeah, yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be warmer forever. If anything,
Well, and
this is the beginning of a fucking ice age. It's going to take like 1,000 years.
It's why they rebranded it too. Like the global warming brand wasn't working, so they rebranded it to climate change.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's nobody
certainly more accurate.
Sure, yeah, but that's it was they had to change their image a little bit because the first image wasn't working out so well. So moving on with the rest of my week, talked about my work schedule. Oh, I feel like I'm kind of Dave now all of a sudden. So I woke up this morning, don't know what the fuck I did, but you know the top of your hand where like these fucking tendons that like connect your wrist to your fucking fingers, all of a sudden they're shooting pain through all of those fucking tendons. Like if I bend my wrist forward like this, I feel this like excruciating shooting fucking pain right here. I didn't do anything.
Right.
I don't know how the fuck it happened. I just woke up and all of a sudden now my fucking hand hurts and I can't make a hard fist and I can't tilt my fucking wrist forward. Is that just like being old or what? I don't know. You're the expert in pain here, so.
Well, what I will say is that sometimes you got to look at what you're doing, right? So, are you jerking off excessively?
Not really.
Okay, so
No,
that's
actually
not...
less than normal
okay,
recently. So
that's odd, but fair enough. Listen, most of your life, the majority of your life has been involved working on a keyboard, on a computer.
yes.
Most likely and not in the proper position for your wrist to not develop some sort of carpal tunnel or something like that. At some point, that's going to catch up with you, right? Especially because you're playing the piano, you're playing the guitar, you're doing all these things that are different with your hand. You're going to start feeling that. So I think you just got to remember that you gotta stretch.
I did play both for a good amount of time last night, like
Yeah.
piano and guitar.
And it's going to do that. It's like any other muscle. You just got to stretch beforehand.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like it's a muscle. It
Doesn't
feels
matter.
Like, it feels like it's the fucking tendons.
Remember, there's the tendons, and then there's seething for the tendons, and then all that stuff has to go through certain point. These small areas in your wrist that all the tendons and everything have to go through.
Yeah.
Like any inflammation in there at all will refer pain down into your hand. So you can do things like ice it, stretch it, do things like that. Just remember that this is what Dave has to do all the time. Dave has to be able to like remind himself like this is why this is the way it is. Something's just what the fuck. Something is it just you can't explain it, but yeah, you've been playing the piano, playing guitar, doing all those things. Yeah, you're going to get a little bit sore. It just is what it is, especially when you're doing something new. It's when it persists That's why it says if it lasts like a couple weeks, then go see the doctor. Otherwise, it's probably just some like a micro tear or something, and there's some little inflammation, and then that goes away.
Yeah. Well, today was day 1, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Start the clock.
It's a weird.
We'll see 2 podcasts from now. We'll see how it feels.
All right, but really, that's been my week. It's been my typical busy gym, work, rinse, repeat.
Yep.
So,
hey, like I said, it's working for you. It's unfortunate you're not getting as much video game time.
yeah,
But who the hell does get that time? Honestly.
not any real adult.
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly. So, all right. Well, what about you?
Who the fuck wants to be a real adult? That's
Nobody. But unfortunately, we're kind of forced into being it.
so. Speaking of adulting, over the weekend, Kathy and I, we unplugged for Halloween. We decided a couple weeks ago that, I'm not. I mentioned it last week. I'm not really into the Halloween thing. I don't like strangers in my fucking coming to my door. It's a whole thing. So we had decided a few
They're
weeks.
fucking kids. Come on.
There's fucking seedy adults in there too, like that are standing there casing the place. It's like, no, fuck you, go away.
All right.
Anyway,
Fair enough.
I have issues. So we decided we're gonna go away. Went on, got an Airbnb up at this place called Lake Wallenpaupack, I think is the way it's called. So we're like, okay, cool, Airbnb, and booked it. Pretty reasonable rate. Ends up being a brand new fucking cabin, like really cool little space that had a full kitchen and had like a separate bedroom. It's like really neat, really neat little space, right near the lake. Cold as fuck, as fuck on Saturday morning. But we made these reservations and stuff, and people start saying, Kathy's talking at work, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we're going up to this place, like this lake, whatever." And one of her coworkers like, "You mean Lake Wally?" And she's like, I guess. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we went camping. We would go camping there as kids." Like, we picked this place completely at random.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're looking at the general Pocono area. Here's what's in Airbnb. Here's what we kind of can afford. It's what we want to pay. Okay, cool. Let's pick this place.
Yeah.
So it ends up that fucking 3 people, Lunar Girl notwithstanding, 3 different people were saying like, "Oh yeah, we used to summer up there all the time."
Yeah.
Like, I've never even fucking heard of this place. I've spent most of my life here.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm really familiar with the Pocono area. Never heard of this fucking place before.
Huh.
It was the second largest fucking man-made lake in Pennsylvania, which makes you wonder what's the first one.
Right.
But really, really neat place. Like, for a man-made lake, they put a dam. Basically, they put a dam at one end of this valley in the mountain and filled it with water in the 20s.
Okay.
Right? So it's huge, but there's like foundations of towns that were fucking flooded. Like when there was a town in the bottom of this thing. They're like, this is the 20s. Nobody give a shit.
Yeah.
They're like, no, move everybody out of the town, and we're gonna put a dam right here.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna it's from an engineering standpoint, it's fascinating because they built this dam and they put a 13-foot diameter pipe at the bottom of it. Then they filled this with water. So the pressure from the water just pushes down into the pipe, and then it runs a hydroelectric dam, which is neat. Just really, really fucking cool.
Genius.
Yeah. And so finding out that people already knew about this place was like, fucking hell. And then, we get up there and we unplugged. We're like, this is our thing. Yeah. We're going to turn off the phones, not be on our phones unless we're like need a GPS or something like that.
Sure.
Which meant that things like Mandalorian spoilers and other things like podcast listeners that apparently live like 3 miles from where we were are trying to find like, hey, you're like, because I broke the Sabbath and posted a picture of the lake. I took a sunrise picture of the lake, post on Instagram, and that's how Lunar Girl found out that we were there. I posted that picture and fucking phone went away. I didn't look at it again. The next thing I know, I look at the phone, like, holy shit. And Jason had texted me. He's like, hey, Lunar Girl's trying to get hold of you. Yeah. And apparently you're up where she's at. So, log back in. We did some texting back and forth, and we kind of made a plan. Like, Saturday was booked. Like, we went hiking. We did fucking made fires and cooked steak over the fire, and it was this whole thing.
It was just the 2 of you.
Just the 2 of us.
Okay.
Didn't bring the dog, although we could have. Felt a little bit bad about it because yeah, she's part of the adventuring, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just the two of us, and we pretty much had the place to ourselves. I mean, there wasn't hardly anybody up there.
Yeah. Probably too cold.
I mean, they live there. They're used to that shit. There was still snow on the ground when we got up there. A little bit.
It's too damn early.
So we get the, Saturday was booked. So we're like, oh, it's Sunday before we leave. This is what time I have to check out. Sunday morning, I wake up, can barely fucking move. We did like a 4-mile hike the day before on Saturday. And we're taking pictures and doing all this stuff. Like, that was one of the big things. Like, so we unplugged, and because we didn't have our phones, but still wanted to take pictures, I had my old Canon that Kathy used, and I used my Canon, and we just fucking walked around and took pictures. Like, we saw something cool, instead of like fucking taking a picture of it with your phone, which everyone's apt to do now. Like, the phones, these fucking things have great cameras in them.
They do.
For just capturing a moment. But instead of, like, because we would have to be on our phone for it, we just did it with the camera. And then we downloaded the pictures after the fact to see what we had. Really cool. I highly recommend it. Unplugging was, even though we didn't do it 100%, unplugging was just gratifying. I
could see that, yeah.
So much shit is going on all the time, and you have an expectation of, because you can see the data, that you're expected to.
Right.
And like, if your work ethic is like mine, because you know that there's things going on and the potential is there that you want to be on top of something, you're going to go into your phone. You're going to look. This teleworking thing, walking away from the fucking computer, that I want to sit there and enjoy something like playing Squadrons if I have time.
Yeah.
I don't know. The work is right there. So by unplugging and just kind of going away from, we're not off the grid. There's obviously cell service and people live out there, so it's not completely off the grid.
Yeah.
But it was nice. It was nice to unplug. So anyway, I wake up Sunday morning, and I feel like a bag of smashed assholes. Like, I can barely fucking move.
Which is typical for you. You overexert yourself one day, and then you feel terrible the next day.
You pay a penalty, and I was paying the penalty. So started moving around a little bit, and went to get a cup of coffee for Kathy. There was a Dunkin' Donuts like within 10 minutes. I get in the car. The fucking the antifreeze light was on. We were talking about it before. Like, it's low antifreeze. Like, what the fuck?
I didn't even know cars had that.
Yeah, I got the car's got a sensor for everything.
Right.
It's a space car like the Volt. I'm sure the Volt won't tell you, right? Because you still have a radiator because you have the
it's got a gas engine.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm like, fuck. So I feel like shit. Now I'm looking at this thing, and it's not like it was busting out. I didn't bust a hose or anything. It's a fairly new car.
Yeah.
But I knew that somewhere in these travels, I'm gonna have to find a fucking auto parts store and top this thing off when I'm barely having issues moving around.
Yeah.
So I ended up, unfortunately, I had to cancel on Lunar Girl. But it's 3 hours away. Like, and I fully enveloped. Like, I like the Poconos. I really enjoy it, especially in the wintertime, like fall, winter, because the views from some of those vistas are amazing. You had really good astronomy viewing. Like, in
I was
there.
going to ask you about that. Yeah.
So the only issue with this weekend was the moon, the full moon. That we had that blue moon.
Yep.
And it was so fucking bright that it overwhelmed almost everything. Like, you get a really good look at Jupiter and Saturn right now because they're kind of paired, almost like the twin suns in your fucking shirt.
Yeah.
And then Mars is crazy bright.
Right.
But,
yeah, Mars has been bright for like a month now.
Yeah, this is like the closest it's going to be for like 1,200 years, some bullshit.
Holy shit,
but,
really?
Yeah, so, and then you got the moon kind of came up right behind Mars. It was like, hello! And it's just so fucking bright. It wasn't even worth trying to take a picture of anything just because everything was too bright.
Yeah.
It was fucking cold. Did I mention it was cold?
Yeah.
22 fucking degrees at one point. Fucking cold. So Kathy gets me up at balls early. Like, this is Saturday morning. Right? We got there Friday. Saturday morning. She's up. She's moving around and shit. I'm like, this is the worst ever. And she's like, oh, she went down to the lake to fucking catch the sunrise. And she comes back. She's like, oh, it's awesome, sunrise. I'm like, ugh. I fucking drag out of bed. Then I'm like, all right, if I just take a shower, and I go out, I was like, no, if I take a shower, then it's gonna be longer. I'm gonna miss it. Get out there, ended up being amazing. Like the fog was on the lake, the fucking sun was just hitting the trees just right, and there was still good color on the trees. It's they were past peak for the foliage, but really good color and everything. I was like, this it was a good start to the day, even though it was fucking I couldn't feel my extremities because it was so fucking cold out. But yeah, that was honestly the rest of my week is just fucking
irrelevant.
It is irrelevant when you have a nice weekend like that and you can unplug.
No, it sounds awesome.
I highly recommend it.
Sounds like something I need to do soon.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally worth it. I did want to mention though, friend of the show, Chad Vickers, aka Dutch, purveyor of the Helmet Fire productions.
Yep.
I know he was in earlier for the Star Wars podcast. He hooked me up with a birthday present. He actually got me a handful of things. I'm like, oh my god, it's fucking awesome. So the story behind this shirt. And
it's a Star Wars themed shirt. It says, "I shoot Fro."
No, it says, "I shoot raw."
I shoot raw.
And then this says Fro knows photo.
Yeah, so I don't get the reference, but it's in the Star Wars font with the starry background.
So the background for this is this guy. His name's Jared Poland, and there's a picture of him on the back of the shirt. He's got this like giant fro, right?
Yep, and a camera.
Yeah, Vickers turned me on to this guy. He's like, hey, he's a Philly guy. He's fucking hilarious, and he's a really good photographer. He was on campaign. He was Bernie Sanders' photographer while he was on campaign.
Okay.
Legit photographer, really funny, like YouTube stuff. Really just like kind of, you'd like him. That sense of humor.
Okay.
That he has. But the main thing is he's a really good photographer, and he does this whole thing where when you're photographers, you get a camera and it like produces a JPEG. That JPEG does not manipulate. Like you can't make a JPEG look as good as you can like a raw picture file.
Right.
Because the raw picture file lets you get in there and really make finite adjustments that really make a picture look good. And that's a lot of photography is like, here I'm framing this shot and then I'll go into something like Lightroom and brighten up areas that I couldn't do or anything else. And, you do that on a raw photo file. So Vickers got me into watching this guy. He's super fucking funny, but he'll do this. He has, he'll do like a mashup thing. He had a He-Man one.
Oh,
it
nice.
basically does the same. Like every shirt, you see him in a YouTube video, he wears a shirt like this every fucking day.
Nice.
He's got one of these shirts, and he's got all these different ones. And Vickers hooked me up with the fucking Star Wars one, which was fantastic. And he also got me a Back to the Future one.
Ooh.
And it's the same thing. It's in Back to the Future.
You'll have to wear that next week.
Yeah. So they're so comfy too. I was slightly concerned. I've seen him wear these shirts all the time. I'm like, man, I wonder what that's made of. And it's actually one of my favorite t-shirt companies. It's nice and nice. T-shirts, you can go wrong with a t-shirt.
Yes, you can.
You can get some cheap material that you never want to wear it. Like, this is very wearable, and I'm extremely grateful. Thank you. And then, oh, by the way, Eagles still in first place.
Yeah, they beat the Cowboys, which I'm always a big fan of. So, yeah. So, before we move on to our main topic,
same.
Do you have?
It's right here. It's right to here.
Yeah, we need to handle a situation. So, we will be right back after this word from our sponsors. You want to go, or do you want me to go?
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead. Just watching him hobble out of the fucking studio. This has been a fun night. What a great night this is. So, we're talking about Mallrats. After this. Yes, yeah, me drinking is making me have to pee. So, if you go back and you watch like our last 3 or 4 episodes, we didn't take any breaks, right? So now that I'm back to drinking alcohol during the show, obviously I've got to piss. So Scott's never seen Mallrats? Okay, Scott, have you seen any of the Kevin Smith movies? Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2. And then Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. I think those are the 7 View Askew movies. Have you seen any of those, Scott? If you haven't, we're going to have some issues. But I got to piss.
He's had to have seen one of those.
Yeah, we'll see.
Dragon Buddy, Scott, first steam locomotive in America in the town next to us. You're talking about Stroudsburg, or is that the There's a lot of cool train stuff out there, I will say. I'm with Scott. I'm in the trains. I have my train sets, my O scale train sets that I like to put together. The Honesdale. Okay, yeah, I think I drove by it to go to the Walmart. If that sounds right. The Starbirds line. Yeah, very, very cool. Dude, I am still, I'm fascinated by, man-made lakes are, they're all over the fucking place. But the fact that here's this valley. You know what? We could do a hydroelectric dam if we put a fucking 1,200 foot long dam here, and then let these creeks fill this valley up with water, and then we'll just put a 13-foot diameter fucking tube in the bottom of this dam, and then the water pressure will just push water out, and then we'll fucking spin a turbine and we get power. Sure.
Brilliant.
Start doing it in 1926, 27, and it's still a functioning thing. Talking about America when it was great and full of innovation. One of the things that Kathy and I had read about, I guess, in certain areas of the lake, there was a church that was still in the water. You can see the steeple, which to me seems a little far-fetched, especially something that's made out of wood being in water like that.
How does wood get so hard? The wood became hard over 1,000 years ago. Sorry, different thing.
Walmart's just before Honesdale. Okay. But yeah, just fascinating area. And I'll tell you, I could see why people would go up there for the summer, because it's 52 miles of waterfront. So there's boats everywhere. Boats. Everybody. It's just fucking marinas and boats and fucking all this cool stuff that's right on the water. And all the ancillary stuff and campgrounds and things like that. So I could see it being a really crowded place to be in the summertime.
I'm just going to reset my mic now.
Right. Meow. Chris's great uncles helped dig well on Pack. Do you guys call it Lake Wally? Do the locals call it Lake Wally, or what do you call it? Inquiring minds want to know.
Can you still hear me? Is my mic good?
Is it good?
All right,
Listen to Podbelly.
All right, I'm gonna assume we're good.
Oh, we should do the farmersonly.com, but with Podbelly. You don't have to be lonely at Farmers Only.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
You've never seen that commercial? I mean, I know
I don't watch TV.
I don't watch TV either,
Didn't
but
we
I've heard that
this already.
I've heard that fucking commercial. I know there's people out there that have heard farmersonly.com, and that's the fucking theme song.
All right, well I'm
going to incorporate it into a Podbelly thing.
Sure, you do that. 30 seconds of silence starting now. And we're back. So, Mallrats. 25th anniversary. I'm quite disappointed with some of the members of our chat right now, as some people aren't actually familiar with Kevin Smith. And Mallrats was one of his... I don't even know how to describe it. It was kind of a transitional movie for him. Mm-hmm. It was his dipping into kind of a corporate Hollywood style of movie because Kevin Smith, those of us in Jersey at least know him fairly well, made Clerks in 94.
I thought it was 94. Yeah.
Yeah, 94. Mm-hmm. And became this big cult independent movie hit, right? He filmed it here in New Jersey at the Quick Stop, the fucking refugee caravan who came out here from Michigan last year. We took them to the Quick Stop. We took them to fucking Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. You know, he was kind of a legend out here, and he filmed this movie. He filmed Clerks for like $26,000. He charged everything to a fucking credit card, and he just fucking made his movie. But it was good enough. His writing, his dialogue was good enough to where this low budget movie actually made money for Miramax, who ended up picking it up. So while Kevin Smith was still at like the film festivals promoting Clerks, he was approached by a producer from Universal Studios who loved Clerks, and he's like, "We want to do your next movie." And they're like, what are you working on right now? And he's like, well, I'm doing this movie called Mallrats, or I'm writing this script called Mallrats. They're like, okay, what's that? He's like, well, it's basically Clerks in a mall. And they're like, sold. We want to, we want to give you $6 million to make this movie, and we'll release it and we'll promote it and everything else. So that was the birth of Mallrats, but it was all based off of the success that he had with Clerks, which again, made here in New Jersey. Fucking Kevin Smith is a New Jersey guy. Yeah, all of that. So Mallrats was released October 20th of 1995. So you graduated high school in 94, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I graduated in 95. So in October of 95, I was still in my one and only semester of college that I went to immediately following high school, which at that time I had a fucking girlfriend who was a piece of shit, but she was a fucking drain on my soul. And
37.
I had a job at the time. I was working full time as a security guard at a Ford dealership.
Right.
And I was still trying to go to college at the time, which college was like the last of my priorities at that point in my life. And things like movies was also pretty low. I had no visibility on Mallrats whatsoever. It was about this time where a good friend of mine, Doug, had actually introduced me to the movie Clerks. So, no thought of Mallrats whatsoever, but I was just starting to get familiar with the movie Clerks when Mallrats came out in October of 95. So, I didn't see Mallrats until probably 97. So, Kevin Smith's third movie, which we're going to kind of touch on a little bit as we go through Mallrats, his third movie, Chasing Amy, was another more independent movie, but it actually got a lot of national attention. And Kristen, who I had just started dating at the time, had seen Chasing Amy already, and she introduced me to that. We're watching it, and they mention a couple of things in that. They mention, oh, my best friend fucked the dead guy in the bathroom of that convenience store you're talking about. I'm like, wait a minute, I saw that movie. That was Clerks. Doing a little bit of internet research for the internet that you had in fucking 97, 98, realized, oh, these movies were all made by the same guy, and this movie Mallrats was the middle movie of this trilogy that existed at the time. So I obviously had to go see it because I loved Clerks, loved Chasing Amy. Come to find out, there was another movie in between, Mallrats. So eventually, I think it was, I probably rented the DVD from fucking Blockbuster and watched Mallrats for the first time, probably somewhere in mid-98, I want to say.
Okay.
So that was kind of my introduction to Mallrats. Do you have any recollection of how you stumbled across any of these Kevin Smith movies?
Well, the Kevin Smith stuff, I think it was my cousin Rick, who, friend of the podcast, our Alaskan contingent.
Yes,
he's just recently went back to Kodiak. I want to say that it was in a circle of people that they were talking about Clerks when it had come out, and it was still just very it doesn't seem like it would be very, very good, but it was interesting because it was local.
Right.
You know, and local is relative, right? North Jersey, for people that live in South Jersey, and you know, I grew up in South Jersey, right?
And I've lived here for 20 something years.
Yeah, there is a definitive divide in this state. You know, where there's North Jersey and there's South Jersey, and this Clerks thing seemed like more of a North Jersey thing.
Yeah, but it's
and I didn't pay it that much attention, but was told that it was good, and watched it at some point. You know, probably like 96. Like I want to say, like, it was before my son was born, but it was after high school, so you know, somewhere between 95, 96, right? So that was my first Kevin Smith experience. I didn't really see another Kevin Smith movie until Dogma.
Oh, really?
Dogma is in my top movies of all time.
Oh yeah, for me it's my top Kevin Smith movie for sure.
It is, and maybe it's more commercialized or whatever. Say what you will about Dogma, but it is by far my favorite Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
I love Clerks. I love the concept of it. I love the humor that's there. But it's something that you have to kind of experience it. It's not as entertaining. It's more about the experience of it.
Sure.
And the fucking one-liners. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
But Dogma to me is awesome. Just so good. And seeing Dogma was like, there's other Kevin Smith stuff that I haven't seen. But Dogma is so good. At some point after Dogma, I saw Mallrats for about 10 minutes. And I was like, nope, sorry. This is not hitting me the same way that Dogma did.
Yeah.
You know, from an entertaining standpoint. I didn't look at it again. Like, until now.
Really?
Yeah. So from a movie perspective, Mallrats, zero impact on me whatsoever.
Holy shit.
On this recent viewing, I'm not sold on it. Like, but I get it. It's one of those things where when you're a Kevin Smith fan and you're looking at his body of work, you appreciate these movies, and this is why, like, it from a theatrical release, it didn't do shit in the movie theater.
No, Mallrats was effectively a bomb. Like it lost money at the box office.
When the Kevin Smith the Kevin Smith following started developing, and Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, and like doing all these other things, it was like, oh, you know, people did the same thing. We're like, well, let's see what other Kevin Smith stuff is out there. And I think Mallrats turned into one of those things where, like, hardcore Kevin Smith people were like, oh, you need to be watching Mallrats. It's just as good as anything else that we're watching. So, but I never enjoyed it. I watched it. I was like, yeah, okay, it's interesting. Shannon Doherty, like, you know, in her.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the women of Mallrats as we like get deeper into it. Let's just talk about your experience.
But that's it. Like, up until recently, you know, with an Amazon Prime, you know, viewing experience, that was probably the first time I've seen it. And I'd be lying to you if I said I paid attention to it 100% of the movie. I'm not.
And this was your idea to do this movie too.
Well,
that's the funny thing.
And again, I like Kevin Smith. I like his body of work, and the anniversary of this, I think, is poignant from a Gen X point of view, because the mall itself. There's something to be said about the mall experience.
Yes.
As much as Gen Xers, what we did, like what the mall meant to us, it probably means more to this movie than the actual movie itself. You know what I mean?
That's a really good point, honestly, because, like, I'm sure you had the same experience. Well, especially out here in Jersey, where you guys have fucking malls every like 5 miles. Where growing up in Bakersfield, California, for a good portion of my life, we had one mall. Eventually, we got a second mall. But a good part of our weekend sometimes would be, we're going to go to the mall on Saturday. That was your Saturday. Like, I can remember me and my best friend Rob, his mom would drive us to the mall, and we'd go to the mall for the day. Right? She'd drop us off at like fucking 9 in the morning, and then would come and pick us up at like 3. You know, and we just spend the day at the fucking mall.
What's interesting, like, yes, in this area we have a lot of malls, right? You had, with the Deffert Mall was the one that's closest to me growing up, and then you have the Cherry Hill one, which is, you know, pretty close to here, and then you have the Morristown Mall, the Echelon Mall. There was a lot of malls.
Yeah.
Each mall had a very, very different experience.
Sure. Yeah.
Like the Cherry Hill Mall was always a little bit more upper class, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you like, anytime I went to the mall during the daytime, any mall, it was because of something. Back to school shopping.
Right.
The being in the elementary school choir and you got to go sing at one of the malls in front of the fucking Santa display. Like that was a thing.
Not for me.
During the day, the only times like going to the mall during the day was a weird experience. But going to the mall as like, hey, what are you doing on Friday night? The mall was it.
Yeah.
That's where everything was happening. Like you got dressed up. If you were like, oh, I'm gonna go look at broads and this stuff, and that was the mall experience. This is how people are interacting. The shopping of it, aside from buying Smurfs at the Cherry Hill Mall when I was a fucking single digits, spending money at the mall was obscene. Like everything was so fucking expensive.
Right.
But hanging out.
But to quote Shannon Hamilton from the movie Mallrats, I have no respect for people with no shopping agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And the mall was just, it was used synonymously with going to like hang out someplace.
Sure. Yeah.
And that was the majority of it. I have so many stories about going to the mall and shit happening. The first time I was ever had a car breakdown on me, like I just got my license, my first time the fucking car breaks down is at the Deptford Mall.
Nice.
Like right in front of I'm like dropping somebody off or picking somebody up, and I'm pulled up right in front of the fucking thing where all the people are coming in and out of, and the fucking car breaks down. Like, God damn it. I think I said something like, why, God? And then so my buddy Jeff was like, I will never live that shit down, because I was like picking up him and Sean. And just like, but that was the shit. Dragon Buddy brings up a good point. Arcades.
Well, I think Kathleen Martin also brought it up before him.
I read bottom up, sorry. But yes, the arcades. You go in there and you actually had quarter arcades where you can go in and play video games, which again, didn't really play a lot of video games because it cost money.
Right.
I would get dropped off at the mall with no money.
But when I would go to the mall on these Saturdays when we'd spend the day at the mall, I'd always save like a good $2 for the arcade, because that was at one end of the fucking mall. We always got dropped off at one end where there was the Taco Bell and a couple other things, and we'd walk all the way across, and at the very other opposite end of the mall was where the arcade was. So I always made a point to save a couple bucks for that.
So one of the big things that happened, and I remember happening to the malls in this area, was the food courts.
Yeah.
We didn't have like the Deptford Mall, the Cherry Hill Mall. Cherry Hill Mall had like the Woolworth fucking restaurant, where Woolworth, like if you go into Cherry Hill Mall right now and you're like walking towards where the Apple store is, there's like this like semi-submerged fucking restaurant area
in the middle.
Right? In the middle.
Yeah.
That used to be run by Woolworth.
Oh, okay.
And the Woolworth 5 and 10 was like right next to that. But all the people in the mall, that was where you ate. There was some restaurants and stuff outside of it, but there was no food court. That was where you got food. And then food courts started to go in. Cherry Hill Mall had it first. I think Echelon Mall had the next one because they had the movie theater there. And then
Echelon, which is like 2 minutes
right down the road.
Yeah.
Which is a shell of its former self.
Oh yeah, that you could say that about a majority of malls
this is true.
in this country right now.
But the Deptford Mall, where if you go down there where the JCPenney is, like that area, there used to be like there was a full up fucking carousel in there. Like a full size carousel.
Yeah. And
you had this carousel, and there was like some other games and stuff like that. It was kind of like the pivot point of the mall between the two big end stores. Mm-hmm. But you did your laps. You get dropped off, you do your laps and fucking socialize, and see people that were outside of your station, and it was just, that was part of our growing up.
Yeah.
Is that this looking at these guys interacting in the mall with all the shenanigans that's going on. Oh, they're going to tape a fucking show in the middle of it.
Right. Which that's not that unheard of.
No. I buy it 100%.
Yeah.
That they do some fucking silly shit like that.
Or, there was the monologue, and this is the thing. So we can pick apart the actual movie all we want, but you cannot deny the fact that there was some very clever dialogue going on throughout this whole fucking movie, because that is Kevin Smith's expertise, is his dialogue. He is a great writer. Visually, he's kind of all over the place, but he writes some great dialogue. Where the food court discussion, right?
Right.
why am I having discussions about, Superman coitus here in the food court? And he's like, cookie stand's not part of the food court. Well, what do you mean? Cookie stand's an eatery. An eatery is a part of the food court. No. The food court is a designated area in that specific square. Where the cookie court or the cookie stand is, a place for mid-mall snacking. So either way, they get into all these fucking semantic arguments about the mall and everything else. But
and for me, you're 100% right. And then the conversations that you have with Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Like the Star Wars reference, because Kevin Smith, huge comic book nerd, Star Wars, all that stuff. You're guaranteed to get some Star Wars reference in his movies. So when the fat man's trying to fucking move shit with his mind, right? And then you got Jason Mewes out there fucking doing his dancing and shit, rubbing up on fucking girls, getting behind him and shit.
Yeah.
Like in front of the pet store, right?
Yep.
We're fucking hanging out. It's like you could totally see this.
Mm-hmm.
What Kevin Smith does phenomenally well is giving Jason Mewes something that, like, here, do these things, and people are gonna love it.
Oh yeah,
like that character, that's that dude,
right? And if you look at the production of this movie, Universal didn't want Jason Mewes as Jay in this movie. They wanted either Seth Green or Breckin Meyer to be Jay in this movie, because Jason Mewes was just some fucking pothead off the fucking street that Kevin Smith pulled into Clerks. But he was Jay, and that's what he based his character off of, was the person that Jason Mewes actually was.
Yeah.
So he had to fight tooth and nail to get him cast in this fucking movie. But when he got him on set, when he was doing his fucking, all of his shit in front of the pet store and everything, and the Universal execs saw that, they're like, yeah, we'll keep him.
Yeah, exactly, because that's that fucking character. You can't put anybody else in that role.
No, not at all.
Even when he was like, there's times when, obviously some of the drugs and other stuff were affecting him a little bit more than others.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's a lovable character.
Right.
And the interactions with him and Kevin are fucking great.
Yeah, and Jason Mewes' like history with drugs is very, well documented. They did a commentary for this 10th anniversary DVD that I have. There is a commentary from Kevin Smith, Ben Affleck, Jason Lee, and Jason Mewes. Jason Mewes fucking stoned out of his fucking mind through most of the commentary. Every once in a while, he'll like sit up, he'll go, "Snoochie boochies," and then he'll fucking pass out again. It's fucking crazy, but again, you're gonna get some great fucking character from that lifestyle, I guess. So anyway, going back. So I did want to bring up this 10th anniversary DVD that I have, because after like Kristen had exposed me to Chasing Amy, and then I realized Mallrats was a thing, I immediately got this on DVD. Mallrats was one of the first fucking DVDs that I owned outside of Clerks and Chasing Amy and Happy Gilmore and fucking The Waterboy. Those were like the first 5 DVDs that I ever owned. But then when this 10th anniversary came out in 2005, I scooped it up. It's got an alternate cut of the movie, because I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of weird inconsistencies in Mallrats, because they had a completely different beginning of the movie that had been filmed and produced and everything. Test audiences didn't like it, and Universal decided that it took them too long to get to the mall in this original opening, because it all started the night before at this like governor's ball, and TS accidentally like shot the governor, and it was all kinds of crazy shit. But there's references to that throughout the whole course of the theatrical cut of the movie.
Right.
Anyway, so I bought this 10th anniversary, and I want you guys to look at something, because you might be able to see a little signature right there. You see that?
I do.
That little signature?
That's
So, about 6 years ago, at the Philadelphia Comic-Con, Stan Lee was a special guest. So you could buy, at the time, a Stan Lee package at the Philadelphia Comic-Con, where you got to have a very quick meet and greet with Stan Lee. You got front row seats to his panel that he had at that con. You got to get a photo with him, and you got to get one thing signed from him.
I've seen the photo.
Yeah, the photo of me standing next to Stan Lee.
Yeah.
So at that Comic-Con, they're like, well, you get one thing to be signed by him. Of course, everybody's got like fucking like, Spider-Man early issues or whatever, like any of the fucking comics that he made over the years. They've got those. I'm like, I was never really into Marvel comics, but I've got this fucking, Mallrats DVD that Stan Lee was a big part of. So I roll up to the fucking line. I put the fucking DVD down. His assistants like look over. They're like, nice. And then it gets up to Stan Lee. Like, I'm as close to Stan Lee as you and I are right now.
Right.
I hand him this Mallrats thing. He's like, Mallrats. All right, I like it. And he fucking signs it. And he's like, hey, awesome. Have a good day,
Nice.
So that signature is that of the late Stan Lee from 6 or 7 years ago. I can't remember. I got to go back to my Facebook and look at the dates.
I see when it was posted.
Yeah.
That's fucking phenomenal.
And this is why this movie has held up so well and has as big of a cult following as it does, because it really goes deep into the comic book culture pre-Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
So, now, today, being like a comic book nerd, liking the Avengers, liking all the Marvel shit, that's mainstream now.
Yeah.
In 95, that was far from mainstream.
Yeah, there was being a nerd in those days was you might as well have fucking some sort of lesion on your face.
Yeah.
Like you were there was no, it was it. Like you were totally isolating yourself in a whole nother class of people that obviously you're looking at people in the mall going like, wow, look at all these popular people that are wearing their Z Cavaricis and shit like that. I will never be that person because I'm into this other shit like Star Wars and shit like that. Like, I'm not gonna be able to get in with anyone.
Yeah, and in 95, the comic book culture, man, it was the super nerdy people. And if you listen to Brody's dialogue in this, even though he was fucking Shannon Doherty in this movie,
right?
Super nerdy shit, all of the stuff he was talking about throughout the course of this. And even like very early on in the movie with him and TS, when TS comes to his house after they both had their breakups, he's like, hey, I tried to teach you how to handle fucking comic books in the 3rd grade, but you wanted to go play Little League instead. So, TS was more of the normal type of kid playing Little League, being more popular and all that.
How about the posters on the wall in Brody's room? Like it was kind of like encapsulate something like in the 90s. Like what are nerds gonna have on their fucking wall? Like as far as posters and shit like that.
Oh well, how about the fucking video game he was playing? Like NHL 93 on his fucking Sega Genesis, which was fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, at the time obviously it wasn't a throwback, but now you look at it, it's like fuck.
Yeah.
25 years ago, and yeah. 25 years ago, we actually had a video game that was playable like that.
Yeah.
Which is like, I would, in my brain, 25 years ago is like the Stone Age, right? I'm still playing with fucking Smurfs and fucking Star Wars toys that don't have articulating fucking elbows. And yet, 25 years ago, I was out of high school and we had NHL 93.
Yeah.
It's like those type of games. It's just like, holy shit. Again, aging us as Gen Xers.
So, okay, before we get too far into this, the opening scene of this, where TS drives up to Brandy's house, completely reshot. This was all part of the new beginning that they had to film because test audiences didn't like the original beginning. Universal said it takes them too long to get to the fucking mall. So where TS drives up to Brandy's house, and they're talking about Julie Dwyer, and this is like our first link to fucking Clerks, by the way.
Right.
Where, she talks about, did you see Julie Dwyer last night? He's like, yeah, I told her that the camera adds 10 pounds. She did a bunch of laps, had an embolism. Like, direct link to fucking Clerks when they talked about Julie Dwyer dying.
Yep.
Which, by the way, in the timeline, means that Mallrats took place like a day or two before Clerks took place. But I digress.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, because, after I had discovered this movie, like, I watched all 3 movies back to back, like, several times over to, like, pick up on all these references, Clerks, Mallrats, and Chasing Amy. Anyway, this whole thing was reshot, and one of the ways you can tell is Claire Forlani, the girl that plays Brandy, which, by the way, smoking fucking hot, especially in this opening scene. Holy shit, she is so fucking fine. But she's British, you know, and she had a really tough time hiding her British accent in these reshoots. Like, she got better later on in the movie because that stuff was filmed months before.
Right.
So when, you know, she's telling TS she can't go, she's like, TS, I can't go to Universal Studios and all that. I'm like, what? What is going on
Yeah, what
here?
happened to your voice?
Right, exactly. So, you know, you pick up on that as...
Which is really funny. You think about British actors that have American accents
Yes.
that hide it so well. People like the Tom Hardys and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you don't even think about it until they fuck it up.
Right, exactly. You know, and if you watch the rest of the movie, she hides it pretty well. She has a pretty good American accent. But yeah, in this opening scene, just listen to Claire Forlani talking.
I have to listen to it.
You
again.
can hear that British accent coming back. So yeah,
Speaking of Secret Stash.
so yeah, she breaks up with him. Can we talk about how good Shannon Doherty looks in this? Like,
Yes.
I
Yes,
was
we
a
can.
big, like, I don't know if you watched 90210 back in the day, but I was all about it back in high school.
Right.
I was all about fucking Saved by the Bell, Beverly Hills 90210, and fucking Melrose Place.
Right.
Those were all
'Cause
my
you-
soap operas
Yeah,
growing
well,
up.
you had to have something to put in your spank bank for, you know, those moments when you need it.
Yeah.
And those were filled with spank bankable material.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I didn't really, like, care much for Shannon Doherty back in the 90210 days. I was much more about fucking Kelly, whatever her name was, the blonde. Jenny Garth. You know, I was all about her for 90210. But now going back and rewatching Mallrats, I don't know if it's just because she was fucking younger, you know, more vibrant or whatever, but fucking Shannon Doherty looked pretty fucking good in this movie.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it was like there was like an Irish connection too. Where you look at it like, look at that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, yeah.
And then later on, when we get Joey Lauren Adams joining the fucking cast, she's smoking fucking hot back in the day. And, you know, this was a year or two before Chasing Amy, where she was, you know, she was the lesbian from that movie. But, yeah.
I
like,
almost threw that out.
all the women in this movie, like, just fucking...
Well, they were, you know, Kevin had the, you know, he got them in their prime.
Right.
You know, so that helps.
Yes, yes, it does. So especially as we're getting older, you know,
Yes.
we're getting into our 40s.
Well, and before they were young enough where they weren't into plastic surgery and shit like that.
Right, yeah, that wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
Where now all these fucking bitches, they like immediately start getting like lip injections and all this stuff, and they start.
Oh
looking
no,
like,
my face is changing. Let's inject.
and then they
just
look like
terrible.
the Joker, and I'm like, I never want to look at you again for the rest of my life.
Rest in peace, Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
She was one of those. She was one of those when she decided everything was cool in the gang until suddenly it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, even somebody like Britney Spears, who was like after our time, like she got like crazy fucking plastic surgery, and
She just got crazy.
that too. That too.
Call it what it is. If you look, I'm not saying you should follow her on Instagram, but it's a fucking shit show.
Mm-hmm.
It's very entertaining shit show, but it's a shit show nonetheless.
Yeah. So, but yeah, whenever I see these fucking young women getting like the fucking lip injections and all that, I'm like, what are you doing? Megan Fox. Like, she started
yeah.
fucking with her face right after the first Transformers movie. It's like, what are you doing?
There was all kinds of crazy shit.
You're
though,
like the
that-
hottest woman on the planet. Why would you fuck with your face like that? Ugh. But we digress.
there's a whole psychological element to apply there that I don't feel like doing. I'd rather just talk about what we pass as hotness in 1995.
Right, yeah, which, I mean, go back and watch this. The women in this movie are far hotter than any of the fucking broads that you'll see in current fucking movies or music or whatnot, so... And... So, one thing you'll notice is a similarity. Did you ever see Dazed and Confused?
Yeah.
Like, the casting director for Dazed and Confused was also the casting person for Mallrats.
No shit.
Which is why you get Ben Affleck in this. Which is why you get Joey Lauren Adams.
Right.
Because it was the same person that cast both movies. So they cast a lot of the same people between the two. Fucking T.S., his brother was the main guy from Dazed and Confused. So I know a lot of people confuse them. They think they're the same person.
Yeah, it's very similar looking.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
can see that.
Yeah, so a lot of similarities in the cast between Mallrats and Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused is a movie I haven't seen in years.
Yeah, I probably haven't seen it since like the mid 2000s, but another great movie.
I think it's in my DVD library of justice, the big fucking portfolio of DVDs. I think that Dazed and Confused is in there. But I can't tell you the last time I actually watched it.
That's one of those movies I want to sit down and watch with my mom, because that was her time. Like, she was in high school,
right?
Like, because that took place in '76,
right?
Like summer of '76, which she was fucking 17. Granted, she was pregnant with me at the time, but still, she was in high school like at that fucking time, and I want to sit down with her and watch that and be like, is this like what it was like?
Especially with you being in California, because I don't think that the experiences are the same.
Well, sure, because Dazed and Confused was Texas, I think.
Was it?
Is where that took place.
All right, well, not even close. Closer to the West than... That's right, because it was like a football thing.
Yeah.
That it calls in question, we're talking about like Mallrats, Clerks, and these Jersey-centric places, right?
Yeah.
Just because that's where Kevin Smith's bread and butter is, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you start looking at experiences like Dazed and Confused or someplace that's like outside of that, you look at what high school was like and like how people interacted, completely different thing.
Yeah.
Like those people were out on Mars for how like what their day-to-day was like. And that's what kind of fascinates me, like for our experiences like with movies and shit like this. Like, well, you were already on the East Coast, right? When you started really getting into this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I saw Clerks in California like after high school.
Right.
But everything else I saw after I moved to Jersey.
Yeah, and digesting all this Jersey shit from that Kevin Smith is what seems, I mean, to me is like, yeah, all right, all that shit makes sense. Yeah, and the way the personalities are, as opposed to something that's going to be some high school experience out in fucking California, which everyone seems like, oh, we're going to this multi-million-dollar place, and
Yeah.
you get the fucking, like, what the movie we just did the other day. Fucking the movie with the guy and the broad from 16 Candles. Fucking, oh god damn it.
Breakfast Club?
Breakfast Club. Thank you. Jesus Christ. I'm not even drinking. Yeah, like that high school experience. Like, who the fuck has a library with a goddamn giant fossil in the middle of it?
Right.
Right. At least with like a movie like Mallrats is like, oh, okay.
And they filmed it in an actual mall,
Right.
too, so
it's like, well, yep, all of this makes sense to me.
yeah. So, is there anything you want to talk about with this movie? I mean, you already expressed that you weren't impressed with it.
I liked
this time around.
I liked this as being the continuation of what Jay and Silent Bob can continue to be as this duo of characters.
Right. And even more than them, like there's so many other links to the other Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah.
Right? The beginning of this movie, Brody talks about his cousin Walt who kept getting the cat stuck in his ass, right? And if you go back and you rewatch Clerks, Randall from Clerks talked about his cousin Walt who died from trying to suck his own dick and broke his neck.
Yeah.
So that's a link between those two characters.
I didn't make that connection, but okay.
Well, yeah, you got to be like a hardcore View Askew fan. But there's other links too between characters in Mallrats to other movies, like Trisha Jones, the girl who sleeps with other guys for research. Mm-hmm. She's the sister of Alyssa Jones, who is the main character in Chasing Amy. There's a ton of other links, but if you are a hardcore fan of this Kevin Smith universe, then Mallrats is a key part of this.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see it, kind of like what I alluded to before was, I don't necessarily enjoy this movie for what it is, but I can see, being a Kevin Smith fan, how you would go back to this movie and go like, okay, all of these things hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm, like I said, this is, you need to have, this movie has to exist, like, and it has to fail in order to make everything to what it is today.
Exactly, because the failure of this movie is what got Kevin to go back into the independent scene, and that's how Chasing Amy came to
Right.
be, which, another successful movie along the lines of Clerks, where also, he met Joey Lauren Adams on the set of Mallrats, and I was watching a recent interview with him on YouTube.
Excuse me.
Like he was on a podcast last month talking about Mallrats and everything else, because he used to date Joey Lauren Adams
Oh, no
for
shit.
like a year after Mallrats was made, and then through the production of Chasing Amy. And she used to like, the reason why he was so attracted to her was she used to be like a huge ball buster on the set. Like apparently she was like one of the guys.
Nice.
He'd walk on the set and she'd be like, "Hey fatty, what's up?" And
Nice.
she'd constantly be busting his balls, and he fucking loved that. And he loved the fact that she was just acting like one of the guys. And I guess at one point towards the, I guess as they were getting close to the release of Mallrats, they were doing,
Like pressers and
promotion.
shit like that.
And like, I guess he fucking asked her out. He's like, "Oh, I fucking miss having you around all the time." And they ended up just like fucking dating, and they were together for a year or two,
Huh.
which was his inspiration for writing Chasing Amy. He wrote Chasing Amy with her in mind as the main character. So yeah, and Chasing Amy was another big underground hit, but it got national attention. I remember seeing, commercials on national TV for
Yeah.
Chasing Amy. So it ended up being a bigger thing, and then that success led to Dogma. So
Right.
it was, again, Dogma was his next dip into a more corporate
Yeah,
Hollywood.
exactly. Big production
Yeah.
type thing. And yeah, all the things that needed to hit in Dogma led to that moment. Like, Mallrats fails, you make Chasing Amy, make it another name for yourself. They're like, okay, let's make Dogma, and we're gonna get all my people in there, right? Get all the same. Get Jason Lee. Get fucking.
Yeah, which this was Jason Lee's first movie, by the way. Mallrats was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his very first movie was Mallrats.
That makes sense. They're pretty young.
Yeah.
When that was going on. But yeah, get Jason Lee back. Get all these people. Get people like Chris Rock involved in it. Get George Carlin involved in, and we could. I would love to do just a whole episode just on Dogma,
Oh, yeah.
because
For sure.
that's just not only just breaking down the movie, but breaking down what. There's so much to unpack in there about life and how things are viewed and yeah, that's it. I don't. It's one of those. The Kevin Smith stuff is so much deeper than I give it, if that makes sense. Like you're saying, like you went into it and you were able to see it. Like, oh, you need to like watch this and make all those connections. Whereas I don't tend to do that when I watch
Yeah.
movies. Like for me, it has to entertain me that little bit. Otherwise, my ADHD will go and go flittering off. Whereas the constant like sight and sound that Dogma was fantastic.
Right. And I mean, that was still Kevin Smith, but like talking about his original trilogy, the
Yeah.
Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy,
Is a completely different experience.
it is. And I really think that they kind of feed off of each other, and they kind of need each other. And as a whole, they're a great fucking three movies. In fact, as I alluded to before, if you remember going way back to the beginning of our Star Wars podcast, I saw the original Star Wars trilogy out of order.
Right.
I saw A New Hope, and then Return of the Jedi, and then I eventually went back and saw Empire Strikes Back. Exact same story with the Kevin Smith movies. Saw Clerks, Chasing Amy, and then went back and saw Mallrats. So
I could see that, especially given what Mallrats did when it first came out. It almost lends itself to doing that.
And honestly, like I was expecting to be a little disappointed with this rewatch of Mallrats leading up to this episode of the podcast, but I was rewatching it today. I'm like, this is actually some really good fucking dialogue. You know, really good dialogue, really good nostalgia trip when it comes to the malls and everything else. And I think it's a lot better than it gets credit for, quite frankly.
Well, and let's face it, right now with the anniversary, like all the stuff that Kevin Smith put out, it's made a significant impact financially as a DVD release and as a cult following.
Yes, and yeah, it definitely found its audience on DVD.
Yep.
And it's made Universal far more money than they put into it. So yes, they lost $4 million initially from the production into the theatrical release, but ever since then, huge following.
Yep.
I'm obviously, like, idiots like me are buying the 10th anniversary, and I'll potentially buy that 35th or 25th anniversary.
Yeah, because I think
collection that came
there's
out.
a bunch of special cuts in there as well.
Yeah.
And I know there was when we first started talking about this for the pod, Kevin Smith was on, doing stuff in person, like kind of doing Q&A sessions on like through Facebook or whatever, talking about this.
Yeah.
Like you would in a panel if it was a con, if we were still doing cons,
Right,
and
which-
it wasn't 2020.
And he's so good at that stuff. Like, he is so good at thinking off the cuff and just improvising. And
Right.
you watch any of his public appearances, like the evening with Kevin Smith's or anything, like he can just talk forever and be so entertaining the entire time that he's talking.
Yeah, even his fucking story about the almost the heart attack and almost
Yeah.
dying and was it Rogan?
Yeah, he went on Rogan.
Yeah, it was
to
the
talk about
big
that.
pod because that's where I heard it. Yeah, it was downloading Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, like
And
he
listen to
brought Joe Rogan to fucking tears.
yeah,
As
dude.
he's telling that story.
And he's I feel you feel like he's one of you,
Yeah.
right? If we, I mean I don't have even an iota the same level of storytelling that he does, but you feel like he came from a very similar place. Like these
Pretty
are things
much,
that
yeah.
entertain me. Going to the mall, fucking working at a fucking store that sucks.
Star Wars.
Fucking bringing these characters that you interact with every day. Like, this should be a fucking movie, and he fucking does it.
Yeah.
And he makes a movie. It's fun. The View Askew universe is fun like that.
It is.
Even if
And-
it has some of, not all of them hit. I'm just saying.
No, but I mean, I'm telling you, go back and rewatch Mallrats now, because I think anybody out there would be pleasantly surprised. Anybody from our generation would be very surprised at how clever and entertaining a movie like Mallrats is today. Especially when, like we talked about at the beginning, where the comic book culture was an outlier.
Right.
It was not mainstream back in 95 like the way it is now, where it's like that's all fucking Hollywood is comic book movies and all this other shit.
Oh, it's all of us that had all this repressed fucking nobody paid attention to what made us happy, and now suddenly all those people are in the business of making movies.
Yeah.
The Jon Favreaus and all these other people. Like, hey, you know what? Let's entertain us for a minute, and all these comic book movies and shit like that.
And in turn, you obviously entertain the rest of us.
Everyone, because we knew better. If you people would have been paying attention. No, instead you have to fucking call us nerds and beat up us. What?
So here's a question for you.
Okay.
Did you ever watch Three's Company?
Yeah.
So when Terry from Three's Company made the appearance in Mallrats as the topless fortune teller, did you get a little excited? Because I know I did.
Come on, knock on my door. Yes.
We'll be waiting for you.
Yeah. It's hey, here's an idol that if I'm in Kevin Smith, I'm like, you know what? I'd love to see her. Let's get this broad's top. How do we do that? Like, well, I'm gonna make a movie, but it's gonna require you to have your top off. I mean, are you cool with that?
Priscilla Barnes was her name, the actress.
Like, are you cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. And then boom, make it happen. How do you how else you get Salma Hayek doing a fucking doing all her shit in Dogma?
Oh yeah, her basic striptease.
Yeah.
In Dogma.
Kevin Smith going like,
I think she's attractive.
yes, I'm
I
going
want
to
her
put
to-
her in a compromising position. Not like X-rated, but just like provocative.
Yeah.
Can you do that for me?
Dance on the pole.
Right.
We're not gonna have you take your clothes off.
Right.
You'll be in skimpy clothes, but you'll still
Right.
be clothed.
I'm gonna call you serendipity, and it has a nice overtone to
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like, you want to do that?
It's all part of the storyline.
It's. Oh, I could totally see that happening. I could totally see that being a thing.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we doing next?
That's a good question. I don't think we have anything lined up next. Honestly.
Well, hopefully
I mean,
nobody dies
I
between
have,
now and then.
Right. I have faith though, that we will figure something out, and we will come back with a quality show next week,
We will.
as we always do.
Sweet mother of God.
And just to close this one out, all of you out there, go watch Mallrats. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I was going into this rewatch expecting the worst, and I'm like, I forgot how fucking entertaining this movie was.
No.
So go watch it.
And honestly, as somebody who wasn't as that entertained by it, like this is from a Gen X point of view.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't hit on some level for you as a Gen Xer, then you're missing it.
Indeed.
You don't, like I said, I'm not 100% on board with the movie, but I still think that you should go watch it because it is a product of our time.
Yeah.
It is telling a story of us in our formative, pre-adulthood years.
Yeah, and it's probably the most screen time that Stan Lee gets in a single movie, period. So, all of you
because everything else is just quick cameos.
Yeah. So like he had a long extended scene with Brody, and it was, it was very heartfelt. It was, Kevin Smith describes it as his Wolfman Jack moment, from American Graffiti, where you had that moment with the fucking radio guy. That was his equivalent to that in Mallrats. So,
and I can totally get it. 100%. What is that? What is that on the screen? Did somebody sneeze on this fucking thing?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's like schmegma on the fucking monitor.
All right. Well, that being the case, we're going to go ahead and close
Squirrel.
this up. So, thank you everybody for listening. Be sure to check out our good friends over at the Escape Pod.
Yes.
They're doing a Future of Star Wars episode this Wednesday's episode of their show.
Yes. Post-apocalyptic election day.
Yeah,
Future of Star
assuming
Wars.
we all survive.
Yes.
Assuming the world isn't coated in flames
Right.
by Wednesday.
And you can find the Escape Pod by going to podbelly.com.
Yes, you can.
You can go into the directory. You can find the Escape Pod, ATSW, the Escape Pod. You can also find our friends at the Used and Abused podcast.
Yeah. Scott and Kim, good friends of ours.
You can also, if you're on the Facebook and you're interested in being entertained, you can find Keith Lehman for layman's terms.
Yep.
He does his exclusively over the Facebook.
He's very funny, great shit talker when it comes to fantasy football.
Yes, the purveyor of the silent shit talking fantasy football video.
Yep.
Yeah, it somehow sucks you into watching 97 seconds of him eating his lunch. And then that's it. And trans. Like, what the fuck did I just sit through?
Yeah.
And then if you're also interested in that type of content, the shit talking, whatever, go find us at the Sidebar Cantina.
Yes.
And you can see all of these shenanigans.
Yeah, because we're all there. Us, the Escape Pod guys.
Us,
Big Swede.
83 of our closest friends.
Yep.
And that is good quality daily content. Because somehow I can manage to go into the Sidebar and post a picture, put something funny out there. Yeah, I can't find my way onto fucking Instagram to post something every fucking day. Like, God damn it.
Yeah, we should be better at that, but...
Yeah, we should.
what are
We
you
need a
gonna do?
producer, man.
I know,
telling you.
Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, what the fuck, Jamie? Anyway.
All right. Well, that's it, though. So, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. I have to piss again.
Me too.
So...
I'm pacing my Diet Cokes with Jason's beers, and it's fucking ripping through me.
I know, as the beers are as well. So, thank you, everyone. And remember, everything we told you today was true from a Gen X point of view.
Okay, now what do I click?
All right.
I couldn't fucking...
Couldn't do the mom?
Okay,
now what do I click?
I was trying to do Sean Connery, but I couldn't...
Oh, trying to muster up the voice? Yeah. All right, this is Gen XPOV, episode 14, Raw. Are you guys allowed to go back to games? Are you guys going to have crowds again? Is that what's going on, Tom? And, is this your Super Bowl, basically, playing against BYU? I know how much you hate BYU. So, yeah, I'll be curious to see how that goes. Don't cross the streams. I don't know what you're referring to. Great show. Thank you. You guys have a wonderful week filled with joy and happiness. And may you not step in a pile of shit. Well, thank you, Dragon.
Thank
Buddy.
you.
Much appreciated. Yeah, apparently the Fett brothers are going to be back in the stands this weekend.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, we need screenshots of that if anybody's got the capability to do DVR or whatever, because I don't have Hulu Live anymore, so my ability to watch live sports, unless it's on like the major networks, is severely hindered. So I look forward to seeing that. And beat fucking BYU. Please do that. That would make me insanely happy. So one thing that we didn't talk about for the weeks, I'll wait till Jason comes out, but it's the ESPN game. I gotta figure out. I think somebody I know might have a ESPN login or maybe a Hulu login where I could actually get to ESPN. So here's what sucks. Disney Plus, right? I have the Disney Plus triple play. So it's the Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and the Hulu, like Hulu standard. It's not worth it. Like the stuff that's on ESPN Plus, all this, like it's all repeats of shit that's already been on. Getting a live fucking broadcast out of it is almost impossible. So I'm like, I would rather. I don't know. Disney Plus is the only real reason to have it, and Hulu. If I haven't had a chance to watch fucking TV. The only thing I'm gonna watch is The Mandalorian. You plucking minors?
that was A9. This is A minor.
Nice. That's nice. So I wanted to tell a story. So we get up to, we're downloading the audio, right?
Yeah.
So we get up to, it's Friday, and we're heading out to the Poconos, right? And I got nominated for the Wing Award, right? Mm-hmm. So I had an appointment and I wasn't going to be there in person, so they had a webinar over Zoom for the award ceremony. So we're up in we're probably still about 45 minutes to an hour away from where we ended up staying in the Poconos. And we're starting to lose cell signal and shit like that. So we pull up into one area because I got fucking pissed like a monkey's racehorse. And so I pull over, go out into the woods, take a leak. And Kathy's down. There was some lake. And I come back into the car. I'm trying to find the thing for a webinar. I go to get back in the car. My fucking pants rip.
Oh, shit.
My jeans rip, right? And they rip in a way that was like, oh, I am exposed. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I can walk away from this. No. They were ripped, and you're going to need new pantaloons. Here's the thing. Because I knew this was like almost like glamping, right? So we're staying in a cabin, but we're going to build fires and do shit like that, all outdoors and shit, right? So I only brought one pair of fucking jeans. I'm like, we'll just wear the same pair, right? Wrong. I had shorts. I had a pair of shorts, which you couldn't wear. It was fucking freezing. Mm-hmm. And I had these jeans. So we're like, all right, well, we need to make a stop real quick. So we ended up going up to where the cabin was, kind of getting an idea where it was, and then going to Walmart to go find a pair of pantaloons to wear for the weekend, which was a fucking adventure in and of itself. Like, right. Why is it that when you're fucking looking for your size, they never have it? Like, the size that I was wearing like 6 months ago was if I had fallen down and swung my arms around like this, I would have not hit any other size except for the size I wore fucking 6 months ago.
Right.
But the size I need to wear right now, unattainable within fucking like a 2-hour drive of where we're at. So I'm like, fuck. So I find a fucking pair. I go into the fitting room, right, which are just now starting to open fitting rooms again until everything goes on lockdown again. But
which I feel like is coming.
Yeah.
We digress.
Yes. So I get in there. I go to fucking. I'm getting ready to untie my my boots to try on this pair of pants. It fucking rips more. It ripped from like it was here, then went down to fucking here. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I'm in the fitting room, find a pair that's going to work for the weekend, and I come out of the fitting room. I'm like, they ripped more. She's like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh shit, right? I mean, there was like, I could have got arrested for fucking exposure. I mean, thankfully I have fucking, my boxer jocks on, but now we have to buy said pants, go into the Walmart fucking bathroom, look like I'm stealing something by fucking, getting undressed, putting these pants on, taking the other pants. Like, this is how our fucking weekend started. Was me needing a new pair of fucking pants.
Wow.
And look, I've had pants ripped before. I wear the shit out of my clothes. So I get it. Like I probably wore them to a point where they reach max capacity and that's it. It's over. But to rip in such a way that I could not appear in public, that was a first for me. I was like, holy shit, I need to address my life choices right now because it was fucking awful. And thank God there was a fucking Walmart.
Yeah.
Because in Kelly's town, in that area, it's like there's a Walmart, a couple grocery stores. That's it.
Wow.
There's no like, I'm thinking, there'll be a dry goods store or something like that. It's up in the mountains. They'll probably have, be able to go get a good, decent pair. No, wow. Nothing. And this is that adage, like when we used to go like around the world, right? There was not a Walmart to be able to go to. So you brought everything.
Yes, I overpacked pretty much every trip.
Yeah, because you could end up in a place that you were not packed for. Like, so you have to pack for every place. This is why when we sat alert, I had 3 sets of 3 entire wardrobes of clothing because one of those stayed in a fucking bag unless I needed it for an alert launch, which when I retired some of the underwear that I never wore that dry rotted in there that I had to throw out. So you had a whole set of fucking, 2 weeks worth of clothes in alert storage. Then you had your TDY clothes, and then you had the clothes you wore every day. I've pared down from that level, so now I'm like, I don't have all this extra clothing anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing the shit out of like one pair of jeans. Just keep washing them and keep doing it. But Jesus Christ, going out to a spot where thank God there was a Walmart. Like,
right.
Welcome to the United States, where at least you're probably within an hour drive of a Walmart.
That's why I always say, man, people talk up other countries. They're like, oh, U.S. isn't that great. No, fuck that.
Mm-mm.
U.S. is still the greatest country ever.
Yeah, and you go into Europe somewhere, or Africa or South America, you go, if you wanted to buy a pair of pants, get ready to have your fucking thighs squeezed into your nutsack, and then your nutsack fucking getting squeezed into your fucking chest cavity because they wear tight pants. Why are dudes wearing tight pants like that? What's there to be gained?
Apparently, they have good physiques that they really need to show off.
Most of them have fucking chicken legs that they're not like. You go into it and here's athletic pants. Here's the straight leg ones. So even before I gained this weight, I couldn't wear fucking straight leg pants because my thighs are too big.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Yeah, we need American-sized pants.
Yeah, I need American pants, which it's perfect for Walmart. Send me to Walmart. I know I can get an American pair of pants.
Fucking right.
That's going to stretch around my fucking big fat ass.
Yeah.
Tractor Supply, but nothing else for now. I didn't even see the Tractor Supply. See ya, Scott.
Recognize that at all?
I did, but I don't know why.
She's a good girl.
Okay. Loves Jesus. And her boyfriend too.
I'm learning little things here and there. So.
Well, you need to sing with it.
Nobody wants to hear that.
I mean, shit. Nobody wants to hear us talk for fucking 2 hours.
Well,
but
that is true.
But
Yeah,
we,
here they are.
Yeah, here they are.
There's 5 people still like sitting here listening.
Yeah,
to us,
I think the trick to singing is not singing as you. You need to sing as something else.
Right.
Like that's why I find if I'm forced into doing karaoke, if I do it in a voice, then it's tolerable.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this is as good as time as any to. Hey, Dutch is here.
What's up, Dutch?
Troy's still here.
Well, that was a waste of a drive. Where did you go? No shit. Those assholes.
Double booked a sim. Sad face.
Yeah. I saw him earlier. He did my picture for the award thing. Dutch, I pimped out the shirt today. Yep. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but yeah, it's if you're in it, like coming back around to that, like from a photography standpoint, like if you're interested in equipment reviews and stuff like that, it's entertaining.
Yeah,
it's not just some fucking dry thing. Like he does his research, puts it everything through. Very, very knowledgeable. You have to accept his delivery, which I find really fucking funny. And Dutch got me turned on to that. So yeah,
you'll have to send me some of that stuff.
Yeah, fronosphoto.com.
All right. Well,
see you.
I think this is the end. So
this is the end.
Yes.
All right. Jason's got his. I've had 4 beers.
Yeah, that and Kristen's still at work.
Oh yeah.
And the boys are in there by themselves. Have been for 3.5 hours now.
Well,
so.
I was just out there. The house isn't on fire, so that's good.
Yeah. So I think they're getting a little resentful, honestly.
Why?
Well, with Kristen being at work and me, constantly being at work and doing my thing, they're kind of left to their own devices a lot. Which really is exactly how I was raised. So
yeah, I would think that this is exactly what I want. Yeah, parental units, fucking give me some space, and we'll do whatever we do as long as we don't burn the place down.
Yeah,
or eat all of the snacks and not eat dinner.
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
Yeah, and speaking of not burning the place down, like Bronco Vet says, go vote.
Yes,
but
do your civic duty.
If your candidate doesn't win, don't go burning down random businesses. Let's be civil here, people. Because again, at the end of the day, not much is going to change in your life, regardless of who wins the presidency.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, governor, school board, those are going to potentially affect your immediate existence. President, not so much.
Agreed.
But unless
still go
protesters burn down your business. But
that's yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with us.
We're gonna put Jason to bed. See ya.